Rush on over now to Greg Hughes. Greg, welcome back, sunshine.
Yes, boy.
You're like throwing up nearly every fader
I'm
there.
Back, quite literally, bigger. Can't say better.
I was going to say, here we go now. Bigger. What? Oh, yeah. So we're all back bigger. So I graced. I would say, I don't know what kind.
I just.
You feel it on the tummy, do you?
Huh? Yeah.
You feel it on the tummy.
I can see it in the tummy.
I can feel it in my own tummy. It's big.
We're going to be talking about what I can do with my life a little later on in the programme. We're going to be talking about.
But should we do? It's Christmas.
Yes,
your
but
hair
you see, at our age, Lee,
it's hard to shake
a bit more advanced than me. You know, it's like. Is it visceral?
Advanced, you can be in advanced training levels. Is
just
this what
go
you
in there and it stays there? It won't go.
No, well, I'm going out to do a bit of exercise.
I don't know. How do you motivate yourself to do that?
No, it's a point of having to, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's good.
But anyway, we're going to be talking
health
a bit
and fitness
later on
and mental
about
health and all of that.
You know, they say sometimes it's not a good idea to make big changes at the start of the year, but if it's the right time, you know, whatever, man.
But it's like this wee small things, you know, just to implement. Like even you say, look, I'm going to go for a 20-minute walk a day, right? So you say, I'll go 10 minutes one way and come back 10 minutes.
When?
That's 20. Well, sure, can you squeeze 20 minutes into your day?
No.
Can you scroll your phone for 20 minutes?
Yep.
Easy. Can you watch
I can, of course.
Yeah.
But I can't walk at night or in the rain.
But sure, what are you doing during the day after this programme?
Sure, do you seriously think when I finish this show, that's me finished? I have
go to bed for a big sleep.
I have to read, I have to study, I have to do my research.
I'd love to see Caroline's face here now. Yeah.
Anyway, New Year's resolution, Lee, be nice to me, please.
No, I'm going to be good.
All right, listen, see you tomorrow.
Right.
Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff.
Right.
All right, it is the 9 till... All right, Leo, take care of yourself. It's the 9 till noon show coming up after the news headlines now, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The leader of the Ulster Unionist Party has called on the DUP to end its boycott of the institutions in Northern Ireland. The DUP withdrew from the Northern Ireland executive in early 2022 over concerns with post-Brexit trading conditions. Assembly elections in May 2022 have been unable to form an executive since. UUP leader Doug Beattie says the DUP should work out issues with the Northern Ireland Protocol while power sharing is up and running. Mr Beattie says his party also didn't support the protocol but are willing to work through issues.
We've never supported the protocol. The Windsor framework is not the starting point that we wanted to be at, but there are opportunities within it. We want to maximise them, but there are still issues within it and we want to deal with them. We think that can be done in tandem of getting government up and running and dealing with those issues in a democratic way. I think the DUP can do exactly the same.
Housing and the defective block crisis will be the focus heading into this year for the Cathaoirleach of Donegal County Council. The defective block issue affects thousands of homeowners in the county, many of whom have been waiting years to get their home remediated. Councillor Martin Hardy says the severe shortage of housing in Donegal has compounded the matter. He says while positive initiatives are being rolled out by Donegal County Council, more support must be forthcoming from government.
I think we need to put more money in place for those derelict properties. There's a lot of red tape there in some of the schemes that's available. People are finding it hard to get onto the scheme, so it can be done, and with not a big amount of money we could make massive inroads into that. But I think central government needs to listen more to the councillors and the executive of the council.
Well, a similar sentiment on the need to urgently address the housing shortage in the county has been echoed by the Cathaoirleach of the Glenties Municipal District. Councillor Michael McLafferty says the refusal to permit the building of homes along the N56 is severely hampering efforts to provide much needed accommodation. Last year, all members of the Glenties MD presented a case for the overhaul of planning regulations to ensure the survival of rural and Gaeltacht communities. The refusal of planning permission along the route is said to be one of the main reasons people are being forced to leave the area. Councillor McLafferty is once again calling on the Office of the Planning Regulator to review the current regulations.
They seem to be off the view blocking anybody at all from getting on to the N56 unless there's a particular need for it. This is not good enough because everybody has land along the main road, which many people do. Unfortunately, that's the only sites that they have. But what the regulations there at the minute, and certainly more stringent and more tighter regulations going forward, we're not going to get on to the N56 at all.
Weather now, sunny spells and scattered showers today. Some hail and thunder possible with highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
As a woman, you know your body better than anyone. But when you're looking for answers, Irish Life Health gives you access to GPs who are specialists in female health to guide you in areas like menstrual health, contraception, fertility and menopause. Our female health benefit is available on all hospital plans, like our first cover plan, from just €41.92 per month. Join today. Search Irish Life Female Health. Terms and conditions apply. Irish Life Health DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. Wednesday, the 3rd of January 2024, and a Happy New Year to all of you. Of course, we were back on air yesterday, but Donald sat in for me, my first show of 2024. How are you all keeping? I hope you're keeping very well indeed. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and New Year, as good as possible. It was a tough period for some, of course, but anyway, we're into a new year, and hopefully things will improve from here or stay great, depending on where you are in your life at the moment. Okay, so we're going to kick straight off with a reminder of how you get involved in the programme, because of course throughout 2023 we enjoyed amazing support of the 9 till Noon Show and Highland Radio's general record numbers of people tuning in and watching and all that type of stuff, and keeping us really busy with their views and opinions, and keep it going for 2024. 086 60 25,000 is that WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. If you're outside the Republic, you know the international dialing code, don't you? 00353, drop the O and away you go with the rest of the number there. Emails from anywhere in the world, of course, to comments@highlandradio.com. And just to remind you, for those of you tuning in for the first time, maybe you're not back at work yet or what have you, that you can watch this show every single day live and see most of our guests live and in person as well. And how do you do so? Well, on your smart TV or your Fire Stick, there's the YouTube app. Type in Highland Radio Ireland. You can watch us on your big screen or across your mobile devices. And we also stream on Facebook, Highland Hub, Highland News and Sport, and on Twitter, or X as it's called now. So no excuses. Right, let's see what's making the front pages of the newspapers and the insides of some. We'll start with the Inish Times. Donegal County Council has refused planning permission for an industrial building in Fawn. The local authority has rejected an application for new development which was proposed at the Lisfannon Industrial Estate. The application, submitted by John and Christopher Duffy, sought permission for the construction of a single-storey industrial building totalling 583.6 square metres. The Finn Valley Voice headline this morning, standing ovation for Maureen at Hootenanny, and that's the same story too on the inside of the Donegal Post. Maureen Bradley has described the experience of performing with some musical legends on Jules Holland's Hootenanny as amazing. The Ballabafay teenager appeared on the BBC Two show on New Year's Eve, and her stirring rendition of Candyman was given a standing ovation. It was the Abbey Vocational School students' first televised performance. Millions tuned in to the show, and the rising Donegal musician was one of the real highlights. It was a really amazing experience. Everyone there was just so nice, Maureen told RTE's Morning Ireland, of course, and well done to her, doing herself, her family and us all incredibly proud. On to the Irish Times this morning. There was a suspected arson attack on some property in Dublin over the Christmas. The director of the Dublin Region Homeless Executive has defended the service after politicians said they were not told of plans to create homeless accommodation at a vacant pub in Dublin, which was then set on fire. The fire broke out in the early hours of New Year's Eve at the Shipwright pub in Ringsend and took 6 fire tenders several hours to bring under control. Gardaí have confirmed that the fire was the work of arsonists. The building has been at the centre of the false rumours spread by far-right campaigners that it was to be used to house dozens of asylum seekers. You know, the usual rhetoric, fighting aged, unvetted males. But a row escalated yesterday after several politicians and local representatives called for a better communication strategy from the Dublin Region Homeless Executive and a formal notification process. And how long have we been talking about that on this show, for an example? If you have more conversation and what have you, it's much more beneficial in the long run, isn't it? On to the Irish Independent now. And lower speed limits on roads will be put in place by the end of this year, with all local authorities being told to review the streets in their areas by the end of the summer to ensure the measures can be enforced. As part of the most radical overhaul of speed limits on Irish roads in nearly 2 decades, Junior Transport Minister Jack Chambers said he wanted changes sequenced and synchronised nationally. Under new laws, speed limits will be lowered to 80 kilometres on national secondary roads, 60 kilometres on local and rural roads, and 30 kilometres in town centres and housing estates. But in a new and significant development, all local authorities in the country will be expected to carry out speed limit reviews this summer to give effect to the new regime by the end of the year. Now, my understanding of this, when it was first announced, was that this would give powers to lower speed limits where deemed necessary. You know, and I think we all know roads that perhaps have too high a speed limit. And what have you. So I presume that is still the situation, that it's not going to see a blanket reduction in speed limits, but certainly on certain roads where the speed limit is too high, like 80 kilometres per hour on, small country roads with grass up the middle, not that there's anyone there to enforce those speed limits, or other roads that have 100k limits that perhaps would be better served with an 80 kilometre per hour limit. Presumably, it will not be just across the board, but as I say, the article doesn't really make that clear. So quite a bit of work for local authorities across the country to have done by the end of the summer. On to the Mail this morning, and politicians have been accused of being dishonest or deliberately vague with farmers about climate change policies out of fear of losing their vote. Social Democrat leader Holly Cairns says she finds the political approach to communication with farmers ridiculous and a little bit insulting. The Cork Southwest TD, who grew up on a farm, criticises opposition parties for not having a clear position on the nitrates derogation for Ireland, and takes aim at the government for not preparing for the exemption being removed entirely, which is a bit of straight talking if that's the way it's going to be. Asked why she thinks political parties might not be clear about the scale of change needed, Ms Cairns says, I think they are scared of losing the farming vote and seeing everything in terms of election cycles. Ms Cairns says they need to be forthright when discussing climate change proposals. We're not willing to say the things that a lot of politicians aren't in relation to climate, because like that, it's this short-termism, the thinking that we better not say that. But I think kind of the majority of farmers have a fair idea of what's coming down the tracks. No doubt about it. Okay. It might be interesting to get a word with Ms Cairns on that story. Some good news if you're out shopping, and God knows, I think lots of people have overspent maybe, have overspent over the Christmas, New Year. So any saving we can make, all the better. Consumers had a spring in their step yesterday as Lidl announced it was slashing the price of hundreds of products. As the cost of living continues to bite, the German retailer confirmed it was cutting the prices of some goods in its everyday range. It brings more than 600 the number of products the retailer has reduced since October 2023. And this might sound like an advert for Lidl, but the idea is that, you get one big supermarket that makes these changes, and others have to follow as they compete for our euros. Lidl announced reductions of up to 35% across a wide range of products, from fresh food to frozen favourites, cupboard staples to baking treats and home essentials. Recent Kantar data found most Irish people surveyed said they are extremely or very concerned about the rising cost of groceries. Hopefully we do see some, a noticeable change. I think we noticed when it went up, whatever your weekly shopping happened to be, you could see that 10, 15, 20% increase. Hopefully the change is such that we see the reduction as well and it can be felt. The Sun this morning, the future of the TV licence fee must be sorted out within 3 months. Eamon Ryan, the Green Party leader, has demanded a decision on the €160 licence future has been put on the long finger by some in the government, but Ryan believes the coalition needs to bite the bullet in the first 3 months of this year. He said the first and most important thing is the first and most important thing is, can we get an agreement to fund our broadcasters, as I think the funding of broadcasting media is probably the most critical decision we need to make in the first quarter of the year. It's important. Is it the most critical? I don't know. But sure, most of the year, they're not back till the 17th anyway, so a good third of the quarter of the first quarter will be gone anyway. No, a third, not far off it, maybe a quarter. So they're on their hollybobs to the 17th, 2 more Wednesdays. And then they're back in the Dáil. And I heard Lee and Oisín reference an amazing story that's emerging at the World Darts Championship. It's a staple for many over the Christmas, New Year, watching the darts. But one person just has burst onto the scene at a senior level, and he's only 16 years of age. He's Luke Littler. And he is in line potentially for a £500 prize as he reaches the darts final, but he's facing the best dart thrower in the world. Teenager Luke Littler was roared on by his family last night as he became the youngest ever player to reach the PDC World Darts Championship final. The 16-year-old's nickname is the Nuke, and his fans almost blew the roof off the Alexandra Palace as he knocked out world number 8 Rob Cross in the semi-final, who doesn't come across as someone you necessarily want to hang out with, so I wasn't disappointed about that. Tonight, the boy wonder will aim to claim the title and pick up £500,000. Sorry, the number is so big, and it's for such a young person that I'm struggling actually to get it out of my mouth. £500,000 anyway. That's the winner's check in the process. It's the biggest prize in darts. As I say, I think you'll struggle tonight, but he has nerves of steel, and I think lots of you out there will be watching that as well, won't you? All right, anything you want to talk about? Anything you want to highlight to us? Anything happened over Christmas, New Year significance? Or if you just want to say hello to someone or whatever, the lines are open for you right now. 086 60 25,000, WhatsApps and texts. So give us a call at 07491 25,000.
Harkin Fireplaces Lifford ignites the new year with a massive January yard sale starting Wednesday 3rd. Discover an impressive selection of fireplaces, stoves, electric fires, gas fires and elegant kitchen worktops all on sale. Don't miss out on your perfect fireplace or kitchen worktop at an unbelievable price at Harkin's Fireplaces Massive Yard Sale from Wednesday 3rd of January. Pro-Am-Pack are hiring. Become a member of the Pro-Am-Pack Donegal team. The following roles are available in our ever-growing food-to-go packaging company in Gweedore. Human Resource Manager, Environmental Manager, Warehouse and Logistics Manager, Maintenance Technician. Send your application by email to hrdonegal@proampack.com or call Pro-Am-Pack Gweedore on 074 95 32790. All positions are also advertised on Indeed. Apply now.
Expecting a baby in 2024? Then get to Cool Kids Sligo Winter Baby Sale with up to 50% off selected prams, pushchairs, car seats, nursery furniture and high chairs. Cool Kids Sligo, your premier destination for baby equipment in the Northwest, will take a deposit and deliver for free nationwide. Shop online at babyaccessories.ie.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
The time is 9:17. You're very welcome back to the programme. We're joined on it now by Fianna Fáil Councillor Liam Blaney. Good morning, Liam, and a Happy New Year to you.
Good morning, Greg, and Happy New Year to you, Salon.
It's good to have you. It's good to have you on the programme. Okay, we're talking about Port Salon pier, and just looking at an image of it here for our live streamers, and it looks in good condition. But what is the current situation? Because I was contacted, as I'm sure you were first, before I would have been, over the Christmas, with people concerned about its condition, and also maybe slip timeframes in terms of when it would be finished.
Well, I was on with Donald yesterday, Greg, and I gave her a rundown on it, what the situation was, what I knew up to prior to Christmas, and I got an update yesterday again. And what the story was that there was a contractor appointed to do the work on the pier. They were subcontracting out some of the work on it. Some of the work that they had subcontracted out wasn't done to a required standard, I believe, and I think that group of people was let go. And there's other people doing the work there now, and the damage that had been done there over the Christmas period, or prior just to Christmas, was still some of the work had been done previously and hadn't been removed, and I think it's going to be removed shortly. That's out at the end of the pier, and that was part of the works was that's going to have to be removed and being replaced again. So
whilst the end of the pier looks disastrous. It perhaps shouldn't be the way it is, but it is part of the ongoing process.
It was part of the works that had been done at the earlier stage, and that was going to have to be replaced again. And it looks worse now after the storm over Christmas. I'd done more damage, but it was coming out anyhow. And the work is ongoing at the back of the pier, and they're moving out towards the head of the pier. And it will take time. And as I said yesterday, we'd hoped after the delays that have been incurred, that had hoped to be completed by Easter. And having talked to the contractor yesterday and having talked to the marine engineer with Donegal County Council, they're still hopeful to have that work substantially complete, if not completed, by Easter time. And they're aware that, and the contractor's aware that there's going to be days that they're not going to be able to work down there, and have that factored into their plans. But they do still hope to have definitely substantially completed, if not complete.
The big time, though, is, and we don't know when it might arrive, is summer. It's a critical piece of infrastructure just to attract people and for, for an area. I think we don't have to explain that. Would you be hopeful if we have an initial deadline of Easter that we certainly will see work substantially completed, if not completed, by the summer?
Well, I'm going to try and make sure that the contractor holds to his time and ensure that it is going to be completed by Easter time and certainly long before the summer time.
Okay.
And as you say, it is a massive attraction over there in Port Salon, and I'm sure different piers and different parts around the county, as you're aware of as well, attracts a lot of people for the summertime, the good weather, whether it's jumping on or whether it's sitting on the pier or having picnics on the pier, and the local businesses all benefit from that.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, because of this Brexit adjustment fund, the money was supposed to be spent before the end of the year, and thankfully Minister McConlogue has got an extension to that fund, and he's guaranteed the funding will be there to get this job completed.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to thank him for that too.
Yeah, and of course the deadline initially was like, really, do we have to start this now? But that being said, I think most people accepted that we don't want to lose it, use it or lose it, and in the long run it'll be far more beneficial for the area. But there's more information going to be made available to people next Tuesday night at the Store Bar there at the pier in Port Salon. A council engineer is going to be attending, and is that just to sort of outline what you've been outlining to us and maybe answer any further questions the public might have?
As to try and answer any question the public has, any concern to have, as to give a more final update on it, and to assure the people that of the work, as well as what I've already said, to let them know what work already has been done since this new group, this group that started the work at the back of the pier, who are working at it, give them an update on what progress they've made so far, and hopefully people will go away with a full story at that stage instead of half stories, and look forward to the meeting on Tuesday night, and the contractors and the marine engineer will be in attendance as well. It's 8 o'clock at the Stores Bar in Port Salon Pier.
Okay, 8 o'clock in the Stores Bar. Yeah. Listen, thanks very much, Liam. Take care of yourself.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, take care. Councillor Liam Blaney there, who was speaking to Donald yesterday, who I didn't hear. But anyway, that's the update. Just been contacted by a couple of listeners to say that there is a car on fire on the Windy Hall Road in Letterkenny. It's up beside the hospital. Please avoid from the Windy Hall Road up and from the Glencar Road down, as there's no way through. So obviously we'll get a more official update on that and bring that to you a little later on. But just for now, to remind you that there's a car on fire on the Windy Hall Road in Letterkenny, and please avoid from the Windy Hall Road up and from the Glencar Road down, as there's no way through currently at the moment. I'm doing my second boot camp of 2024 in an hour. I'm a tad tender after yesterday. I hate the thought of it, but once you get there, it's not too bad. It's hard pushing yourself to get to the class, yeah. And I think then something kicks in, doesn't it? Or I'm told that. And I was chatting to Lee before 9 and suggesting that, where do you get the time to do this? Of course there is time. And Lee quite rightly pointed that out. It's just motivate yourself to maximise that time, isn't it? A caller says, I'm so glad to see the back of 2023. I lost 2 members of my family, a parent and a sibling, so it was tough. But I went with the flow, did the decorations and cooked dinner, but I was so glad when midnight on the 31st came this year. Can only be better, happier 2024 to you all, and a happy 2024 to you too, and I hope it is much happier. And unfortunately, and it can happen at any age, but you know, as we do get a little older, you get those years, don't you, whereby it seems that everything's happening, and especially when you lose 2 people so close to you. I had the same situation, my sister and father, very in a short period of time a couple of years ago, and went through with the Christmas for children and what have you. But it's tough because they're not there. Things with time, dependent on the individual, but with time do improve, and I hope 2024 does so drastically for you. It's been a tough 23, and if you want to let us know. If you want to let us know what you would like to see in 2024, please get in touch with us. 086 60 25,000, 0866. What I would like to, some changes I would like to see, and this is not as serious, of course, as the awful situation our last listener was pointing out for them in their personal life, is if we could develop a system now, right at the start of the year, where we could capture all the rain for the 51 weeks of the year where it piddles down, right? And then we could use that water for the 1 week it's sunny without having to restrict water supplies. You know, something like that. Wouldn't that be fantastic? But anyway, not likely to happen. Right, we're joined on the programme now by... I beg your pardon, yes. We're joined on the programme now by James, a parent of children in the Killy-Gordon National School. Good morning to you, James. Thank you so much for joining us.
Morning, Greg. Thanks very much for having me again.
No, it's good to have you on the programme. You were on with us in relation to parking and road conditions outside the children's school. Has there been any update for the new year? Because we said we wanted to come back to this because it was just at the mouth of Christmas, James, as you might remember, you know, and it would have been an easy for us to sort of let it slide. So what's the situation?
Yeah, so, pardon me, I still kind of don't have a voice, but effectively what I had done was on the morning that we had been on the radio with yourselves, I had explained that at the time, back in September, we had spoken to Gardaí and the council, and we had sent a few emails in, and to that point, nobody had responded. Mm-hmm. So using sort of the clout, if you will, from being on the radio and that sort of bit of exposure, I sent both the guards and the council the clip from the radio and said that, you know, it's been 2 or 3 months and nobody's got back to me. We've been on the radio this morning explaining our concerns. Could somebody at least come back to us and follow up and see what we can do? And the very next day, on I believe it was the Thursday, we had the guards actually came back to us, and they explained that outside of school hours in an unmarked vehicle, they were doing speed checks and that everything was fine. But they did say that they would try and do some high-vis checkpoints in the new year when the schools reopen. They would bring it to the attention of the council to carry out surveys in order to maybe get the speed awareness vans and so on and so forth in there. And they were looking also at the parking on that as well. Now, the officer, I don't want to name him obviously at this point, but he was very prompt in coming back to me, and he sent an email on the Thursday to the council, just, you know, sort of highlighting our points. And the very next day to that, so the Friday, the council came back to him, which I found was very prompt, and they said that they were going to put up some traffic counters in the new year at the location that can just to look at traffic speeds and volumes. They explained that there was a safety scheme due for completion of the traffic signals in Killy-Gordon next year. They've identified something as a HCL, a 1 kilometre section outside of Killy-Gordon towards Stranorlar, starting from the entrance to Forest Park, where they hope to engineer solutions by 2025. But also they were saying about they were looking to standardise a bus set-down point between Forest Park and the traffic signals outside of the school. Now, this is fantastic, obviously, that the guards have come back to me then after having to go to you, but the council have responded to the guards. Now, council still haven't responded to me. Council haven't responded to the school. And a lot of the information that the council have sent to the guards here, I'm led to believe that the school itself know very little about that. Yeah. So we're sort of banging our heads against the wall here. How they're all happy to talk to each other.
Yeah, okay, but let's, because hopefully, James, some progress is being made. Obviously, Christmas was in between our conversations, so
of course,
maybe now they're going to use the couple of working days now that everyone's sort of somewhat back to normal now, get everyone's ducks in a row and get those lines of communications open and get that information into the school and get something firm so that we all know exactly where we're at, because you've done fantastic work and got some great information. Hopefully now there's someone back at work today, or maybe they've already been back, that will build on this and formulate something that we can sort of hold to account, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's it. And it's just opening up the lines of communication with the council, because, as I said, it just feels a little bit that we're sort of always just kept on the back foot. There's obviously, there's a couple of questions we would just like to pose to council and to the authorities, just to see, what can we do to help? Where can we go with this? How can we, sort of get involved in this and keep that line of communication open without having to go to, as I explained there, that the guards then have to email somebody and then they go back to the guards and we're getting the information, sort of second or third hand almost. So we've tried that. We reached out to a couple of people. We as I said before, we've spoken to councillors, but they're not very forthcoming. And this is sort of why I've updated you on this, why we want to just put it on the radio. First thing in the new year, keep it fresh in the minds. Everybody's got New Year's resolutions and everybody's got all these, great wishes and hopes for the year ahead. And it's something that we don't want to let sit because it's very, very easily forgotten about. As you explained before, we're a small school in a small location, and it's very easy to forget about it. So,
but I think, listen, whilst there might have not been any serious instances, all the warning signs are there, and it only takes one incident, and that's what we're all trying to avoid, isn't it, James?
Exactly, and that's the thing. The Gardaí came back and they said that while there was no serious incidences that warranted the speed van there or any sort of additional, visible response or checkpoints or whatever, as you say, it takes that one. And when they're looking at these things outside of school hours, or maybe they're looking at it in an evening when it's a lot quieter, you're not really taking a fair sample of that. Now, it's great that they've got all these, these plans and ideas, but it'd be great if we could get a time frame and it's calm and it's just trying to plan it out so that at least the school knows what's going to happen, when's it going to happen, who's going to be where, so that we can that we can work with them in that, because obviously we don't want to isolate ourselves from all of these departments. We don't want to be seen as the bad guys or whatever.
Listen, at the end of the day, it's like other issues we discussed, James. I am sure you, us, the Gardaí, the council, we all want the same thing, or we all want to avoid the same thing. So listen, sometimes you have to go on the public airways to give thing a move on, but I don't think it pitches you in an opposing position. We just need it formalised now, and I think the guards have been very forthcoming with you, and fair play to them. Now we'll contact we're going to contact the council as well and just see what the plan is in relation to traffic counters. What does that mean? Is that a means to an end? Is it the TII? Is it the council? There's loads of further questions that need to be chased up on with the council. We're going to do that. I'm sure you're going to do that. But there seems to have been a bit of progress. We just need it formalised now, and all parties working in the same direction, James.
Absolutely. And if we can get the support of the local councillors on board, just to look at this and just help us push along, that would be great. Because we can only really reiterate it, so many times. Just we don't want that accident to be the one that is, the cause for all this. So prevention is better than cure, I suppose. But I just thought we'd let everybody know. We'd just keep it fresh in everybody's mind going forward. And if there's any changes or whatever, then look, surely we can have that discussion again in the future.
Of course, the numbers now at this stage, or the email. Thank you very much for that, James, and obviously we'll keep you and the listeners updated with any responses we get from the council. But for now, thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thanks, Greg.
Take care. Bye-bye. 086 60 25,000. James, good to his word to keep us updated. And first show back from me in the new year. There you have it. Okay. Right, okay. We got a wee letter in from the Lake House, which is nice. The Director of Nursing, Jennifer Ranking. On behalf of the Lake House Nursing Home staff and management, we'd like to thank you most sincerely for your very generous donation of €500 for the Patients Comfort Fund and the Christmas hamper. We really enjoyed the Christmas broadcast. Our plan is in the new year to take residents to our local hotel Arnold's for a meal and music, and the money will be spent towards that. Wow, thanks for the update, actually, to know where it's going. And thank you to the Lake House, its management and staff in Port Noblar for accepting our request or to for hosting us is the way I wanted to describe that, to host us. It was a lovely little run up to Christmas. Really, really enjoyed it. Put me right in the spirit heading into it. And again, we had Sinead and Tommy and Alex, a late sub, around 5 of our nursing homes, community hospitals, visiting staff and residents, and it's just lovely. It gave me a wee lift, and we appreciate it. And it's great to know they're going to Arnold's, which is lovely. That's why they said, wasn't it? Yeah, Arnold's. I wonder if you'd raised the issue of the lack of transport from Dublin to Letterkenny the Friday before Christmas. My son and his partner had the bus booked on the Friday before Christmas. They were coming from England, but the plane was late in and they missed that bus. They were told to go online and book the next one, but they were told all was full, and as was the one after that. The next one had one seat free, but that was no good to them, of course, as a couple. They waited for the next one. The next one after that was 9 o'clock at night. So we ended up having to start driving to Dublin to collect them. Why is Donegal the forgotten county when it comes to transport, especially the week of Christmas? Yeah, indeed. It's a nightmare situation. Hopefully in 2020 fight for the rights of an SNA role. I've been an SNA for 4 years and I've good experience. Now the department have called an SNA role Ukrainian hours, and it's reviewed every 3 to 4 months, just so they don't have to give us yearly contracts. I'm giving this country 1 more year and then it's time to exit if things don't improve. Everyone gets everything when they come to this country. Leo and Martin, please stop not answering the question and start looking after the Irish, the real Irish people that put yous into power. Hard-working Irish people are sick of this crap. I understand where you're coming from, but what's real Irish versus not real Irish? But anyway, listen. Get into that nice and early in the new year. Rightio, let's take a quick break. Back with more shortly.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Cartlana, Farignam Starula, Costner Rod Museum. Is few gomor rudi Starula. Mas féidir de agrucht curla heirecht na héiren, beidir gemacht tú cáliche diontas all fún guiste muirseirecht aireachta. Tá iartish oscailtinis heritageCouncil.ie/funding. Let takecht on reintíochta realta seartiúlagus aireachta.
Get ready for Easy Living Furniture's biggest ever winter sale. Absolutely everything reduced across sofa, dining, bedroom, mattress and accessories. It's the furniture you want at amazing winter sale prices. Winter sale now on at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park. Wishing all our wonderful customers a happy and healthy new year.
Watson Menswear's big January sale is now on, in-store and online, with great discounts across top names in menswear, like Andre, Tom Penn, Rimazumo, Penguin and Tommy Bow. Don't miss out on some great bargains in the January sale now on at Watson Menswear, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at watsonmenswear.com. The second reign of Jim McGuinness as manager of Donegal begins with the first competitive game of the year this Wednesday evening, with Donegal playing host to Armagh in their opening Dr. McKenna Cup fixture. Join the Highland team for full match commentary from the 7:30 throw-in in Ballybuffet. Highland's coverage of Donegal in the Dr. McKenna Cup is brought to you by Highland Motors in Letterkenny with the new Citroen C5 Aircross, an SUV with great comfort and styling, perfect for Donegal roads. For a test drive or to order your new 241, pop into Highland Motors.
Welcome back to the 9 till noon show. How you all keeping? We're on the line now with Dennis Sheridan. Dennis, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
It's not a pleasant story to have to talk about, is it, so early in the new year? Tell us what happened Monday night, Dennis.
It's a neighbour of mine here in Kilmacrenan. He rang me yesterday morning to say that during the night that some people came to his house, and at the doorstep of his house they ripped up paving slabs, and there was flower pots and stuff there thrown around the place, and then they went round the back of the house, and there was a gate at the back of the house which tried to damage the gate as well. And the damage really to the house wasn't that much. We fixed it up yesterday for him. The damage really wasn't that great, but he's been left very badly traumatised by it, and this person is a pensioner and actually not in good health at all at the minute, you know, and It has left him in a bad place. He's very nervous staying there on his own at night, and he's scared these people might come back again,
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, he can be somewhat reassured that he's got wonderful neighbours around him that came and undid the damage that was done. But of course, like any of us, we would be wondering, well, why my house? Are they going to come back? Am I being targeted? All those type of things would be going through your head, and I can understand how you'd feel nervous on his own there now.
Yeah, well, I don't think really that they were targeting him, because the house is on the main street there going through Kilmacrennan, and me personally, I think it was probably possibly some people done it maybe just for a bit of a laugh, or didn't think it was, the damage they done wasn't that great, but they probably, maybe if it was young people who don't understand the effect it can have on older people, living alone, and that's but it has had a really big effect on this person. When I talked to this person yesterday, they were really in a bad place, and really concerned and worried about not sleeping, and actually not sleeping, sitting in the house in the dark, just to see if anybody else would come again, So it can, the damage, the material damage to the house is easily fixed. It's just what the damage to the person psychologically is the most worrying part of it,
And the worst of it is, Dennis, the people who did this maybe aren't listening to us, but secondly, they probably don't even consider the consequences of their actions, that what for them might seem, I don't know where they derive fun from it, but what they see might, they just think it's a bit of horseplay or something, but they don't realise that this has had a really strong impact on a person.
Yeah, I would say you're exactly right there, Greg. And, probably as I did realise, I'm sure, there's, I'm not out to, to demonise these people, but I'm sure as I realise, that the effect that they have on people, especially when somebody is old and they're on ill health, I'm sure, but, I suppose really as well, we all should be looking out for our neighbours, especially our elderly neighbours at this time, and our world is changing, and there's a lot of more people around, and I think it's a time to be extra vigilant with our elderly neighbours and watch out for them. And
that's a fair point too, and one that's not discussed. It's not necessarily to say whatever change is happening is bad or good. That's maybe a conversation for another day, but it's going to affect different people in different ways, isn't it? And how, in terms of, some people, especially if you're an older person, change is not nice. It's I'm not saying that's the same for all older people, don't get me wrong, but for some, they see a lot of change and it can be quite worrying for them.
Absolutely. So I think it's more important now than ever that maybe we call on our elderly neighbours and just let them know that we're around and that we care, and we realise that that they do feel vulnerable, and just to reassure them that we're keeping an eye out there, and if we see anything strange activity around the place, or people hanging around, or strange vehicles or whatever, that we're aware that something mightn't be right, and maybe just to if we see something suspicious, maybe report it to the guards or whatever.
All right, okay. Listen, Dennis, fair play to you and the neighbours for rallying round and getting the damage repaired quickly. But as you say, the real damage that's going to be more difficult to repair is the emotional damage. But we hope this person feels the warmth of the community and the safety of it, and is feeling better sooner rather than later, Dennis.
Okay, thank you, Greg.
Thanks very much. Take care of yourself. Dennis Sheridan there. That was damage caused to a property on Monday night on Kilmacrennan's main street. And you know what? If anyone saw any of that activity, maybe the person who was the victim or feels the victim of it might get some comfort if the Gardaí would speak to those responsible. There's probably CCTV around the place, or maybe someone saw something. I'm sure the Gardaí would be very welcoming to any information there. It's again, we're in that cycle where many of us have loved ones living afar. Many in Australia at the moment living their best life, seemingly, according to Facebook anyway. While we were huddled around the turkey, they were out on the beach, what have you. But that's the lovely side of it. For others, maybe it's for other reasons. But lots of you have loved ones over in Australia and maybe sent stuff over. And I'm just wondering, have you had any issue with them not receiving what you might have sent them? And it's off the back of a message in from a listener. I have a daughter in Australia. She has been sent cards and different things over the year, but never received them. When I asked the post office about it, they said that unless you registered the card, you can't track it, which is understandable. She put it on the Irish in Oz board online that she wasn't receiving post from home, and a number of others have not been getting anything posted from home either. A lady received a card that had money in it and had been opened. They put a note in it to say that money wasn't allowed to be posted. Didn't know that. They say if people complain, something can change about this. Don't put money in cards. Put cards in A4 envelopes so that they look like documents and the card might be received. So is this a case where the Australian customs is intercepting cash being sent from Ireland and elsewhere into Australia? If so, where does that go? Have you had this problem? Is this something your loved one over in Australia said, Mom, Dad, I never got that stuff you sent me? But anyway, this caller says if you put your cards in an A4 envelope, they're less likely to be flagged as potentially containing money or something, I presume. Well, this listener's daughter is in Brisbane, and it's probably happening in the rest of Australia. So let us know if that's something you've come across. 086 60 25,000, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Right, let's take a quick break. We're going to be returning to the issue at Maharabeg School, where we've had contact from a number of listeners who were receiving fines and penalties. There are temporary lights there, but they're sure the lights weren't on when they were being flagged for speeding because it's a variable speed limit. Anyway, we're going to have more on that on the 9 till noon show after these messages.
LK Bikes, now ready for Bike to Work 2024. Use your bike to work benefits for bikes and safety equipment, including e-bikes, up to the value of €1,500. Visit our showroom to explore a comprehensive selection of e-bikes, leisure bikes, road bikes and mountain bikes. Available for you to try out or shop online at lkbikes.com with free nationwide delivery. LK Bikes, Letterkenny.
Every year, about 2,600 people in Ireland get bowel cancer. Bowel screening helps to reduce your risk of developing it. The age range for bowel screen is changing. If you're aged 59 to 69, register for a free bowel screen test kit. Once you've done the test at home, return it by free post and we'll test your sample. If you need follow-up tests, we'll let you know. Register today at bowelscreen.ie or free phone 1800 45 45 55 from the HSC.
Hi there, can I help you? You're looking for something for the garden?
Well, I want a plant for my...
What she wants is a nice lay landy hedge, am I right?
No, what?
And a lovely big hot tub.
Your vote is your voice, so don't let someone else decide for you.
Oh, and a pair of those crouching stone lions. They'd look great either side of your front door.
Do I know you?
That's our new trainee. He's very keen.
Make sure you're registered to vote. Go to checktheregister.ie and be a voter so that it's your voice that's heard. From Comisiún Tábhachtán, Ireland's Independent Electoral Commission.
And would you like that for delivery?
Yeah, apartment 3, 6th floor.
Oh, you're going to need a crane for those lions then.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Okay, so sunny spells and scattered showers today. Some hail and thunder possible. Highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees in a light to moderate westerly wind. Now, scattered showers will continue overnight with clear spells in between. Lowest temperatures of 1 to 5 degrees in a light to moderate west to southwest wind. Right, okay. So we recently spoke to a number of people who received speeding fines outside Maharabeg National School. To update This update us on this situation. We talk now to Councillor Paul Canning, who's been in touch with a number of representatives on this issue. Good morning to you, Mr. Canning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Greg, and Happy New Year. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, loud and clear. Same to you and your family as well. Paul, I think most people might be aware, but we've got listeners in the west, north, south, east of the county. Describe to us where Maharabeg National School is and its situation as it relates to this road.
It would be, the Maharabeg School would be on the National Primary Road between Derry and Letterkenny, probably within about 5 miles of Letterkenny, thereabouts. That would be my best location of it, you know. It's a school that was there prior to the road being actually developed, so the road came after the school, or the speed of the road came after the school, so there's probably a reason why they are working or trying to work with the school and slowing down the traffic at that location. The situation with the school, unfortunately, is that, it's not unfortunate, but because to suit working parents and that, the Maharabeg School opens that bit earlier than the norm. So a lot of people are getting caught out with the time frame. They're coming up the road and they're saying, well, it's only 8:30 here, and the school will not be open about 9 o'clock. But Maharabeg School opens earlier than that. So the actual periodic speed limit starts at 8:20, I think it is, till about 8:50. That's the first. And that's where a lot of people are getting caught, as they're coming up the road and they're saying it's not even 8:30.
But Paul,
here.
Does that speed limit apply even if the digital lights indicating that speed aren't on?
No, whenever the lights are not on, that speed limit doesn't apply. And the problem we had over Christmas is those lights were not working. And there were people, and I find it very ironic that the actual speed van didn't check the speed lights, you know. So the speed van was there at a time that the lights weren't working. Now, I have spoken to the local guard involved in it, and I've spoken to the director of roads within Donegal County Council. I've emailed them both as well, just for a paper trail. But there's a company, Swarco is what that looks after it. They're a Dublin-based company, and I've also emailed them to get the exact clarification as to when these lights weren't working and when they were working. But the problem being is, because it was over the Christmas period, the time frame, anybody getting their penalty, the time frame would have ran out, so they would have had to either appeal it or pay it. So I advised them to appeal it. I have also the location. I'm not. Listen, I have no problem with speed bans, but I'm not very happy as to the location of this particular speed ban. Because when a person is coming into the actual flashing lights and they are travelling at 100 kilometres per hour, for them to get down to the 60 kilometres, it takes 20 or 30 metres, depending on what's behind you. That speed ban seems to be trapping them within that short space.
That's a particular issue coming from the Derry direction, isn't it? It's a sweeping corner and it's on you immediately, effectively.
Immediately.
But that being said, can we have our cake and eat it too, Paul? We've just been speaking about Killygordon National School. And they're struggling with traffic in their area as well, flying past the school. They would love to see a speed van outside their school. Is it not the responsibility of motorists to sort of, there are school signs that are there to already be maybe saying, are children going in and out of school, to be slowing down as they approach? Do we not have to take some responsibility? I'm playing devil's advocate here now, but do we not have to take some responsibility as motorists? Because what we're talking about here is children's safety here, and it only takes one incident and we could be talking about an awful tragedy.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's down to driver behaviour as well. Don't get me wrong. But this is periodic speed limits, you know. So there is a difference, but there is nothing stopping the speed ban from relocating to a location that whenever the car is coming within 50 metres or 100 metres off those speed lights, that the cars see the speed line, the speed ban.
So in other words, if this was about road safety, it could be in a much safer place. But if this is about revenue collection, it's where it is now. Now, I'm not saying that's the motivation, but you're saying it could stay offering the safety aspect of it, but give drivers a fair crack of the whip, given the fact that you get quite late notice of a speed change. That is temporary.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And the situation, like, and if you read into the whole picture analysis of the location of the speed ban is also creating maybe its own issues with safety where it's located. So I would find that for the speed ban to move closer in the Derry direction and allow then the people, they see the speed ban, they see the lights, they slow the traffic down, and that then works.
So people are slamming the brakes on effectively, and
well, this is it. Yeah. This is it. And the thing about it, people are not breaking any laws coming into that at 100 kilometres per hour. It's just from whenever they hit the lights, they are slowed. I can assure you, whenever they are passing the school, they are at the proper speed. But it's from the traffic, from the flashing lights to the school that they are getting caught, which is a wee bit unfair. But whenever the lights is not even working, that's even worse.
So how do you estimate how many people might have got speeding tickets when the lights weren't even on? Because I think, in that moment, you'd have to be, a lot of people would go, geez, were they on, weren't they on? I'm not quite sure. It's one of those. But we're talking rush hour here. We're talking the Derry to Letterkenny to Derry Road. The vans can get you in both directions, but perhaps mostly from the Derry direction. As far as all motorists were concerned, there was no reduction in the speed limit. We've had contact from, a handful of people, but that number could be massive, really. And as I say, they're second-guessing themselves as to whether the lights were showing the reduced speed limit or not.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Those that will appeal it, and those will just say, no, I should just pay it. Listen, what me and you's doing here today is helping the speed at that Maherbeck school, because we're highlighting the fact that people will start realising. And also the people that have got the speed fines will also say, well, let's start taking note here. It's just the fact of that first initial stage where people are coming along the road, they're driving, they're 20 past 8, they're not expecting the school to be open at that time, maybe for the first time. It's those people then are getting caught. A little bit unfair, I think, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that I get word back that they might relocate the actual speed ban closer to the Derry side, and give the people an opportunity to slow down further back from maybe Corns Point.
And also make it safer for traffic and those in the school, because these are go safe, not go collect. They're go safe vans, and the emphasis should be on the safe. Okay, it's an interesting story. I mean, theoretically, hundreds of people could have received fines. We just simply don't know. I would imagine that's the case, but then again, maybe there's a lot of light flashing and stuff that goes on. But anyway, be that as it may, thanks for that, Paul. I appreciate it, and maybe keep us updated with any update that you get. This is going to be down to the motorists to appeal this, presumably. No one's going to review it and cancel these fines, because we talk of the fines where a lot of people renew their insurance in the next couple of months. They could be sitting with points on their licence that could affect their insurance as well. So we need to make sure this is gotten right.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's up to the people, and I would say the time frame's probably out for the appeal. But I've also personally have sent in into the department about the location of the actual speed ban, because there is entrances going on to the National Primary Road, and that speed ban is impairing the vision line for those entrances. So that's not located in the best places either.
Which is also really quite significant. Okay, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
Very much.
Take care of yourself. Councillor Paul Canning there. They should make a walking tunnel under the school so that people can cross. A private company would need to come in and do it. There's too much traffic. It's dangerous to cross. Who would do it, though? And it shouldn't be funded. The schools shouldn't have to campaign for this stuff, because, as we said, a lot of the times it's the school, the road that was built beside the school. So just to be clear about the reduced speed limits at Maherbeck School, thousands of you pass it every single day, so it is significant. When the school's open, the lights are on Monday to Friday from 8:20 a.m. to 8:50 p.m, and then in the afternoon from 13:25 to 1:45, and then from 2:25 to 2:45. Speed limits at that time are 60 kilometres per hour. But for that speed limit to apply, of course, the temporary speed limit indicators need to be on and giving motorists a fair shout. Let us know if you've been affected by that on the usual numbers 08660 25,000, 08660 25,000, or by calling 074 91 25,000. It is the 9 till noon show on this, the 4th of January. We'll be back with much more in the next hour after we take a break now for the news and the obituary notices.
Anyway, last week I was in the house. I'd done a crossword, watched a bit of telly, made about 40 cups of tea, and I just thought today's the day. You see, I haven't been out much lately, but I knew the bridge night was on, so I went. It was great seeing them all. They were a really good laugh. I missed that.
Reconnecting with others is always good for your health. Maybe it's time to say hello again, world. A message from Healthy Ireland.
If you need advice on what's best for coughs or colds, or what's best for sore throats or flu, just ask at your local Brennan's pharmacy. If you need advice on the best vitamins and tonics to put a pep in your step, just ask at your local Brennan's pharmacy. Whether it's about backaches, headaches, or tummy aches, your Brennan's pharmacy team can help. If you need advice from someone you trust, we're here for you at your local Brennan's pharmacy, Buncrana, Clonmany and Creeslow.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donal Kavanagh at the news desk. The fire service has been at the scene of a car fire in Letterkenny. The blaze on the Windy Hall Road broke out shortly before 9 o'clock this morning. No further details are known at this time. An elderly man in the Kilmacrennan area was left frightened and traumatised after paving stones were pulled up outside his home. Pots and plants were thrown about and his back gate was damaged. On today's 9 till noon show, Dennis Sheridan, a neighbour of the man, said people in the area are supporting him and the damage to the house is minimal and has been addressed. However, Mr Sheridan says the psychological impact the incident is having on the man is a lot worse.
The damage related to the house wasn't that much. We fixed it up yesterday for him. The damage really wasn't that great, but he's been left very badly traumatised by it, and this person as a pensioner and actually and not in good health at all at the minute, you know, and it has left him in a bad place, you know. He's very nervous staying there on his own at night, you know, and he's scared these people might come back again, you know.
The leader of the Ulster Unionist Party has called on the DUP to end its boycott of the institutions in Northern Ireland. The DUP withdrew from the executive in early 2022 over concerns with post-Brexit trading conditions. Assembly elections in May 2022 have led to an impasse with no executive formed. UUP leader Doug Beattie says the DUP should work out issues with the Northern Ireland Protocol while power sharing is up and running. Mr Beattie says his party didn't support the protocol, but they're willing to work through the issues.
We've never supported the protocol. The Windsor framework is not the starting point that we wanted to be at, but there are opportunities within it. We want to maximise them, but there are still issues within it and we want to deal with them. And we think that can be done in tandem of getting government up and running and dealing with those issues in a democratic way. I think the DUP can do exactly the same.
Housing and the defective blocks crisis will be the main focuses for Donegal County Council's Cathaoirleach this year. The defective block issue affects thousands of homeowners in the county, many of whom have been waiting years to have their homes remediated. Councillor Martin Harley says the severe shortage of housing in Donegal has compounded the matter. He says while positive initiatives are being rolled out by Donegal County Council, more support must be forthcoming from government.
I think we need to put more money in place for those derelict properties. There's a lot of red tape there and some of the schemes that's available. People are finding it hard to get onto the scheme, so I think that needs to be looked at as well and to do it properly. But I know it can be done, and was not a big amount of money. We could make massive inroads into that. But I think central government needs to listen more to the councillors and the executive of the council.
And that need for more housing has been echoed by the Cathaoirleach of the Glenties Municipal District. Councillor Michael McClafferty says the refusal to permit the building of homes along the N56 is severely hampering efforts to provide much needed accommodation. Last year, all members of the Glenties MD presented a case for the overhaul of planning regulations to ensure the survival of rural and Gaeltacht communities. The refusal of planning permission along the route is said to be one of the main reasons that people are being forced to leave the area. Councillor McClafferty is again calling on the Office of the Planning Regulator to review the current regulations.
They seem to be off the view blocking anybody at all from getting on to the N56 unless there's a particular need for it. This is not good enough because everybody has land along the main road, which many people do. Unfortunately, that's the only sites that they have. But what the regulations there at the minute, and certainly more stringent and more tighter regulations going forward, we're not going to get on to the N56 at all.
Well, more people will be able to buy their local authority homes that they live in when new rules kick in this month. Changes are being made to the incremental tenant purchase scheme, and that includes replacing the previous income limit. However, Rory Hearn, the Assistant Professor of Social Policy at Maynooth University, says there are potential problems because it means social housing stock is then being lost.
We have in the region of about 200,000 homes currently controlled by local authorities with social housing tenants in them. We built in the history of the state almost 500,000 social housing homes. So we have privatised essentially half our housing stock. And when we look at, for example, homelessness now, one of the root causes of homelessness when we're at historic levels of it is the lack of social housing.
A public meeting will take place next week to discuss ongoing works at Port Salon pier. Works at the pier began in July. There was concern because it was understood the project needed to be completed by October 31st in order to ensure funding from the Brexit Adjustment Fund could be drawn down. It's since been confirmed that funding will be made available to complete the works. The meeting takes place on Tuesday next at the Stores Bar, Port Salon at 8 o'clock. Councillor Liam Blaney has given a commitment that an update will be provided.
As to try and answer any question the public has, any concern to have, as to give a more final update on it and to assure the people that of the work, as well as what I've already said, to let them know what work already has been done since this new group, this group that started the work at the back of the pier, who are working at it, give them an update on what progress they've made so far, and hopefully people will go away with a full story.
Weather forecast, sunny spells and scattered showers today. Some hail and thunder are possible. Top temperatures 6 to 8 degrees Celsius. That's the weather forecast. You can check up on all of today's news, of course, on our website, highlandradio.com. Next headlines at 11 o'clock. But for now, from the news team, have a very good morning.
The obituary notice is for this Wednesday morning, January the 3rd. The death has occurred of Brendan Call, 210 Ardbathan, St Johnston. Brendan will be reposing at his late residence from 5 o'clock this evening until 10 o'clock for wake, with rosary at 9 o'clock. Funeral leaving his late residence tomorrow morning at 10:30, going to St Bathan's Church, St Johnston for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please on the morning of the funeral. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of Cecilia Conway, née O'Brien, Glencar Irish Letterkenny, and formerly from Listillion. Cecilia's remains will repose at Archview Lodge Nursing Home Drummond Letterkenny today from 3 o'clock until 5 o'clock and tomorrow from 2 o'clock until 5 o'clock. Funeral from there on Friday morning at 10:15, going to the Church of the Irish Martyrs Letterkenny for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, which can be viewed on their YouTube channel. Interment afterwards in Killydonnell Graveyard. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to Archview Lodge Nursing Home Comfort Fund, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Seamus Doherty, Main Street, Newton Cunningham. Seamus will be reposing at his late residence today from 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock and tomorrow from 11 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Family time please on the morning of the funeral. Funeral from his late home on Friday morning at 22:12, going to All Saints Church, Newton Cunningham for 12 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Mass can be viewed on newtonclayparish.com. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the rehab unit, St Connell's Hospital, Letterkenny, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of Hugh Doherty, 45 Clonus Road, New Bliss, County Monaghan, formerly Derris Clee, Carrigart, County Donegal. Hugh's remains are reposing at his brother Peter's residence, Massray, Kilmacrennan, until 11 o'clock tonight. Funeral from there tomorrow morning for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in St Columbus Church, Termon, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has occurred of John Nealis, Meeting House Street, Rafo. John will be reposing at his late residence today from 12 noon until 10 o'clock for wake with rosary at 9 o'clock. Funeral leaving his late residence tomorrow afternoon at 1:45, going to St Eunan's Church, Rafo for 2 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family time, please, on the morning of the funeral. The funeral mass can be viewed online via the parish webcam. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Irish Heart Foundation, care of any family member or Kelly's funeral directors. The death has taken place of Kathleen Barr, née Higgerty, Ballybrack, Moville. Kathleen's remains are reposing at her home. Family time, please, from 11 o'clock to 11 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. Kathleen's funeral mass will take place on Friday morning at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Ballybrack, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only. Donations in lieu to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Lily McDermott, Margaret Naismith, Portlaw, Newton Cunningham. Funeral Mass in All Saints Church, Newton Cunningham this morning at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place in Glasgow of Kathleen Doherty, née McDevitt, formerly Auchtor, Kerrykeel. Remains will repose at her home in Auchtor, Kerrykeel this evening from 6:30. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in Our Lady of Lourdes Church, Kerrykeel. Burial afterwards in Milford Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on Patrick Sweeney, Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Margaret Diver, 114 Church Street, Ramelton. Remains reposing at her home. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Mary's Church, Ramelton. Burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time from 10 o'clock tonight and before the funeral tomorrow. The death has occurred of William Fobister, Church Road, Killybegs. Removal from his son's residence, Granny Killybegs, this morning at 10:30, going to St Mary of the Visitation Church, Killybegs, for 11 o'clock funeral mass with burial afterwards in the local cemetery. Mass will be streamed live on mcnmedia.tv. And the death has taken place of John Sean Harper, 14 Gortacrum Road, Glenmornan, formerly of 26 Dergold Road, Strabane and Sion Mills, reposing at his home. Funeral leaving from there this morning at 10:15 for Requiem Mass in the Church of the Immaculate Conception, Strabane at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in Strabane Cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
The Steakhouse Stack. With 2 beef patties, crispy onions and peppercorn sauce, it's the kind of McDonald's you take photos of to put pride of place on the mantelpiece. Sure, you'll need to make room, but you remember what your wedding day looked like. The Steakhouse Stack. It's McDonald's and then some. Available until the 6th of Feb. Served from 11 a.m. Subject to availability. Participating restaurants only.
And now, IMRO's 2023 Best Local Original News Programme, The Voice of the Northwest, The 9 till Noon Show, with Greg Hughes.
And you're very welcome back to the second hour of the 9 till Noon Show. Good morning. I hope you're all very well indeed. We had a bit of a busy first hour and more to come. We're going to be talking a little later on about any lifestyle changes we may choose to make in January. Some believe it's not the best time to do it, but for some, it is the start of a new year and perhaps even maybe a new you. For most people, it might actually just be the first steps into sort of getting a little bit healthier. It's not always just about how you can run to the gym or run 5K or from the get-go, right? It's about how do you begin. And I think often for me, the barrier is, well, you know, where do you start? And I think I'm pretty normal. Perhaps below normal, but anyway. So if you have any questions about, you know, what you can do maybe in the home or whatever it might be to try and improve your fitness, or maybe you want to tone up a little bit, get your questions into us now and we'll get them answered for you a little later on. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number, or give us a call at 07491 25,000. Also a little later on, Chris is in to talk business with us as well. That's all coming up in the third hour, and we've an interesting and hopefully an informative conversation coming up for you very shortly as well. So don't go anywhere. It's great to have you all on board. I want to get to some of your comments, though. I think speed vans should be outside schools every so often. I live outside a country school. Nobody takes any notice of the school doing up to 80 miles an hour. Another, they should have ramps and speed bumps to slow people down, as they don't pay any heed to speed limits. And listen, ramps are popping up everywhere. I don't know, we seem to have got the real love of ramps in this county lately. But ramps and speed bumps on main roads, especially when sort of the speed restrictions are temporary, I don't think are necessarily going to work. Raffo National School, there were 2 speed ramps put in front of the school and a pedestrian crossing and footpath over the past 8 weeks. This should be done at every school, no matter the cost. Okay, how's that going? There was a bit of conversation. We talked about that actually on the programme, didn't we, before Christmas. The signs specifically say when the lights are on, but the problem is the lights were off, you see. They were supposed to be on, or they probably should have been on. Like, we all can't keep track of when schools open and close, you know, between Christmas, Easter and all summer holidays and what have you. But the reason we're talking about this is people were done for speeding when the speed lights were off. The speed restriction lights were off, and that's, if I'm reading your text correctly. The speed van saga is a business and a revenue stream, nothing to do with safety, as they were promised and supposed to be utilised. I mean, some statistics, I wonder, can I find the post now? But I was looking at some statistics over the Christmas, as it was one of those national slow down days. Right, let me see. Is it here? Yeah. So this was on the 22nd of December. In the first 10 hours of National Slow Down Day, Go Safe vehicles, they're the ones that are temporary on the side of the road, they checked the speed of 131,660 vehicles. 132,000 vehicles effectively. But only 0.2% of those vehicles were clocked at speeding, which was 290 cars. Now, that still is 30-odd thousand, between 30 and 40,000 euro in revenue, which is pretty good, isn't it? But in terms of clocking people that are speeding, they only identified 0.2% of 132,000 cars. So, like, either no one speeds or it is just money-making. Do you know what I mean? We know more than 0.2% of the population's speed, but still 290 didn't get the warning or didn't see the signs, and they gathered around 30 or 40,000 euro in that 10 hours alone. But 0.2% of 132,000 vehicles speeding, I don't know. The numbers don't add up for me. What dates were the lights on the Derry Road not working? A caller says she also received a fine. Well, that's one thing we can't actually determine. Specifically when, because we weren't necessarily notified at the time. People didn't realise until they got the notice through. But if anyone out there has the dates and they did contest them, please share with us, and then we can share with others. You know, none of us should be speeding, of course, but we shouldn't also be fined for speeding when we're not legally speeding. On to the issue of posting to Australia. I have sent 3 different letters to my family on the Gold Coast, which never arrived. So I decided I would use Moonpig to send my Christmas card. And guess what? They never received it. So that's 4 letters from one household to family on the Gold Coast. None of them arrived. What's going on there? So it's not a once-off. I sent a card to my daughter in Perth. She never received it. It was a milestone birthday. There was no money in it, as I was told not to put any in it. There's another. My other daughter sent her a parcel from Melbourne to Perth, and she never received that either. People aren't getting their post. And on it goes. OK, let us take a break. We'll be back with more in the 9 till noon show after these messages.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, the 3rd of January. You're playing on the blue sheet. The reference number is S3. It's game number 1. The numbers are 23, 78, 56, 25, 84, 13, 73, 43, 62, and finally 82. Phone your claim to 91048333 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
January Super Savers at Homeland. Willow Warm Briquettes. Buy 5 bales, get 1 free. 5 kg Wild Bird Peanuts. Buy 2 for $25.99. Save 25% off all Dulux Ready Mix Colour Emulsion. Regatta Clothing. Save 20% across all lines. Shop all offers in-store and online at homeland.ie. Offers available until January 21st.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us what. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €11.2 million. Play responsibly in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Sheridan Security, now introducing zero-wire smart alarm systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
OK, dry January could bring about a lasting change in drinking habits, benefiting Ireland's low and no alcohol drinks industry, which is one of the fastest growing alcohol-free markets globally, we read. Non-alcohol beer sales in Ireland have tripled since 2017, with a 25% increase in 2022 alone. When it comes to who's planning to moderate their drinking, most adults aged 18 to 24 said they'd take part in dry January, according to a survey from the non-alcohol beer brand Lucky Star, who of course are promoting their brand in that article I read, but I think it's slightly more complex than that. Ethna joins me in studio now. Good morning to you, Ethna. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here.
Right, you are 3 decades sober at this point, aren't you?
I am indeed, yes.
And what was
coming up to 3 decades now?
Okay.
Yeah.
But are you still in a program?
Well,
or how do you describe or define your situation?
Yeah. Well, for me, there was no such thing as dry January when I started out, you know, when I wanted to go alcohol free. So my choice at that time, I wanted to stop drinking, and my choice at that time was to join the Fellowship of AA. So I'm there now, coming up on 30 years sober this Easter.
And what was life like before that? If you want to talk about that, or as much as you want to talk about it, or why did you feel you wanted to make that change, or whatever you're comfortable talking about, Ethna?
Okay, well, firstly, what I'll say is I don't speak for AA. I don't have the authority to speak to AA. No one has the authority to speak to the media about AA. I speak here as an individual and as a member of AA, and I couldn't speak highly enough of the fellowship. It has given me a life which I didn't have previously, in that it allowed me to be authentic. It allowed me to partake fully in life, and I suppose it introduced me to a programme, what we call the 12-step programme, a programme for living. Before that, my drinking, it in the early days, it could have been described as normal drinking, you know. I socialised, I went out, I partied, I had all of those things. But as I got into my late 20s and early 30s, it became not working for me. I don't like to say maybe the word problematic, but it became something that I wanted to divest myself of, that it wasn't working for me anymore.
Was it having a sort of like negative impact on life? It wasn't adding anything to it.
Well, it was taking away from it.
Yeah.
And what, for me, even back then, even addiction, that word wasn't used. There was no white oaks. So for me at that time, to get help or to get, we'll say, an insight into what was happening, it was very, very difficult. And I can only tell my story. For me, I had asked myself the question, was it something I could live without? Was alcohol something I could live without? And the answer was no at that particular time.
Yeah.
And once I could answer that question, that was enough to say to me it was something that I had to get out of my life. And as we say in...
But do you think this is... Sorry, we'll
yes,
get
you're
on to
okay,
that.
yeah.
Do you think this is maybe people struggle with that realisation? Do you know what I mean? That your mind will kind of try and protect you, right? So if you have an issue with a substance, your mind will sort of try and keep you on it. So like you were able to answer that question, could I live without it? No. I wonder if lots of people could ask that question and the answer would be yes, but in reality it would be no, if that makes sense.
It takes a while to come to the insight. And this is why maybe Dry January is so good, you know. It's a new innovation. And I heard the stats you were reading there as you introduced the programme, that it's 18 to 24-year-olds who wish to go on Dry January. So there has been a change of mindset where people are so much now more aware.
Yeah.
And they're much more aware of mental health as well.
Well, you see, we have in this country lots of people that haven't got an issue with drinking, okay? And sometimes I think when you start talking about it, they go, oh, you know, leave us alone. There's very few things we can enjoy in life, and that's fine. But there is a serious issue with alcohol and drug abuse in this country, one which we can't actually put a figure on. But what we can say is that it's a huge contributor to people attending the ED. We know we're not really counting the impact it has on suicides, on road traffic collisions. That information is not readily available. The impact it's having on domestic abuse situations, young people in their 40s and 50s that are dying because of the impact of alcohol misuse. So, you know, whilst, of course, there are people out there that can enjoy a drink, and that's fine, and that's great, we have to recognise there's an awful lot of people that alcohol has a very negative impact on their lives and is taking their lives as well.
Well, firstly, what I would say is that alcohol is a wonderful substance, you know. It's a social facilitator, you know. When I was drinking, like, I had great fun, like, and, you know, I really enjoyed it. And then it took me places, you know, where I had great experiences and that. But it was when it became a dependency, where there was an issue around it, where I could say honestly to myself, I cannot do without this substance. It's a daily habit, and it's impacting on my freedom, I think. And that's one of the things we say in AA, happy, joyous and free. We get freedom, whereas before, when we were using a substance such as alcohol, and it was only alcohol in my case, because I'm talking about back in the day, but
nowadays it can be cross-substance addiction.
Yes, anyone under 40, we're talking about alcohol and whatever the and is, but there is another substance with the alcohol. But you asked me to come to the realisation when it was a problem. My story is that I was self-medicating with alcohol.
Okay.
And whereas in the early days, you know, it was great fun and everyone drank and, you know, we went abroad, we went disco and we did all those types of things, and it was great, like, you know. But my drinking then, after I got married and I had children, it moved into the house, and I became we'll say what's known as the house drinker. And it wasn't the amount, it was the effect and why I was using it, and I used it to sleep. And that, when I realised that I couldn't do without it, then it was a problem, and then it had to be addressed.
Yeah.
So
yours was sleep. For some, it could be how they feel. It could be a life situation. It could be stress or anxiety. But often, once the effects of the alcohol has worn off, or whatever other substance you might be on, everything else is exacerbated. So whilst you might get a short reprieve, it can often then feel much worse once the alcohol leaves your system. So what do? You take more alcohol.
Well,
yours was for sleep, so it's not quite the same. I'm talking more people that use alcohol for other reasons.
Well, it's a depressant too, and it is being used to mask depression. Like, people are resorting to alcohol, and you mentioned suicide, and that's where there's a very real problem and a current problem, where people are using alcohol to mask the depression. Then when maybe the alcohol or the substance is taken out, there's a real problem, and people, unfortunately will take their own lives,
So in terms of how these programs work.
Yeah.
Right. So how did you get, because we were talking a little bit earlier on, and we'll be talking later on about sort of getting healthy, right? So often it's the first step's the most difficult, or how do you, or even knowing the first step. So what would you say to someone who's listening to this and goes, you know what, Christmas was okay, but I don't remember a lot of it. I had a lot of blowouts, so I ended up arguing, or, I had the oh-no's or the horrors or whatever you might describe it, or, I would actually really, when I balance it up, how I feel, the fun I had, the impact it had on me negatively, it's much greater. So I want to change something. So what would you say to someone like that? How do you go about changing it, especially if you feel that you can't do it on your own?
Well, the first step is probably the self-reflection. I've said that several times at this stage. And anyone, will say, who's maybe going for the dry January, they are thinking about their health, they're thinking about the year ahead, they're setting goals. Maybe there might be work goals, there might be goals in the gym or whatever, and they reckon that alcohol isn't going to contribute to that. So the first step is the self-reflection. The second step probably is the action, doing something about it. Now, when I went into AA first, I wasn't drinking. I was alcohol-free for 3 years.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And what took me into AA all those years ago was people that I met along the way who were actually, I'd started to do actually a counselling course in Strabane, and the people that were doing that counselling course, they were doing other things as well, and those people were, there was one woman in particular I got friendly with, and she was working the AA programme, and I used to meet her a lot for coffee, and I saw that there were things in my life that I needed to change. One of them was a very negative work situation that I had to change. So it was really, when I came into AA, it was to deal with the life situations that were challenging me. And when I arrived, I didn't know if I was in the right place at all or not, And I said that, and I was very honest, and I said, I don't know why I should be here or not, because I'm not drinking. And I haven't had a drink in quite a while. But what I was told was, give it a chance, and
which is quite interesting, because you were still welcomed with open arms, even though you were 3 years on drinking.
Oh, yeah. And you see, it's not about the drinking, really, that the AA. It's about putting down the drink, and then it's about living effectively. And I was told to stay for 6 weeks and see what I thought, So I stayed the 6 weeks, but what attracted, it's a programme of attraction. And that's why, there's no promotion, we don't take out ads in the newspapers or take out ads on radio or any of those things, And I will be honest, with a certain amount of trepidation that I do come on the media, but there's no point in hiding either. One has to get out. And
in terms of is there a difference now? Do people have these meetings now virtually or in person? Because obviously with the pandemic, in-person meetings would have been scrapped. I don't know if they've bounced back to the way they were. Does the program need a bit of a reset so that people are aware that you can come in and chat and that maybe is more beneficial? Or what's the situation?
Things have changed since the pandemic, and it was one of the aims, we'll say. The health service continued during the pandemic and did wonderful work. Well, one of the things that had an exemption was the AA meetings, but they were kept to 6 people. Any of them that were running. Strangely, the restrictions in Northern Ireland weren't as severe, so the meetings kept running in Northern Ireland. But here in Ireland, they were restricted to 6 meetings. But a lot of people stopped going. Simply because they were afraid of bringing the virus or the COVID into the home. So a lot of people stopped going, and then a lot of people started using meetings online, which was great, So it opened up AA in a sense. You could join a US meeting, or you could join a UK meeting or whatever, and it opened you up to new experiences and new people. But one of the downsides of that is that people stop going in person, and it is taking a while to build up the momentum again. And strangely, some meetings have bounced back better than others, and it's nearly a sign of the economy and times. We'll say everything is becoming urbanised, and I go to meetings in Dublin quite a bit, and the meetings in Dublin have recovered very much. Like they're actually very, very busy, but it took a while. Now the country meetings, and we'll say the west of Ireland, have suffered more than the more urban areas.
Right, and just as it relates to the benefits of the 12-step programme, there are 12 steps clearly which we can't go through now because of time.
Sure.
But it's well-established programme that works for people. What's the most
what's the most important step?
I don't know. I wanted to pick one out, but maybe the most important step is the fact that there's 12 of them, if you know what I mean. So that too. But it's a journey you're taking on. Is that
it's
the way
a
you
journey?
might describe it?
Yeah, it's a lifelong journey. And just to give a little bit of context to it, this started in 1935 in Akron, Ohio, in the US, and there were these hopeless cases who drank themselves to death, and no one, doctors, psychiatrists, prisons, nobody could deal with them. Like, they just drank themselves to death. And where it started really was with what they call the Oxford group. It was a Christian, we'll say, group in Akron, Ohio, and people that got a certain amount of spirituality, they were starting to get sober. They could leave the alcohol down for short periods of time. And it was Carl Jung recommended that this guy, I have to think back in his name, but that he would attend this group in Akron, Ohio, which he did. And it was he then, this guy, who contacted Bill Wilson in New York. And Bill Wilson got sober. Bill Wilson was a stockbroker. So these people, they were very educated, we'll say, people that, professional people, for whom, we'll say, money was no object in getting sober, but they couldn't get sober. They were going to drink. And Bill Wilson was in many, many psychiatric units, but it couldn't cure him. So Bill Wilson got sober, and then he got what they call Dr. Bob Smith sober, and the two of them are accredited with starting AA. It was Bill Wilson who wrote the 12 steps in 1937. So there's a foundation of AA, the 12 steps. And the 12 steps really are what keep us sober a day at a time. It's only a daily program. And the first step really is putting down the drink. And the first 3 are about getting a God into your life of your understanding. And that can be any God, it's not a religious program, but it's a spiritual program. And then the last 3 steps really are living the program in a spiritual way.
Mm-hmm.
So everything we do is, we say through prayer and meditation, and I talk about prayer.
Can people
reticently,
can people replace mindfulness in prayer?
Absolutely,
Because
absolutely.
So someone who maybe doesn't have a belief system, or
because I just looked it up last night actually to what the definition of prayer is, and prayer is just opening your heart and mind to God. It's not sitting with a whole litany of prayers. I've never done that.
So just the last couple of minutes that we have then. Where do you start? Like, so say I wanted to go to an AA meeting. Like, well, how do I find out? Where do I go? Do I just walk in? Do I have to call someone in advance? Will I walk in and everyone look at me and go, if you got the right room? Or you know what I mean? Like, so what if someone's listening and go, right, I would like that. So in the simplest way possible, how can you get involved in it then?
Well, probably the best way is if you know someone who is already a member, to approach that person and they will gladly take you in. The other way is just to go online and to Google it, and all the meetings are, there's a directory, an online directory, and one can attend any meeting. There are meetings here in Letterkenny every day and every night. There's a lunchtime meeting, and there are nightly meetings. And I'm a member actually of the Stranorder group. We meet Monday and Friday at 8:30, and there's a very good Sunday morning meeting at 12 noon. So you just turn up, and you'll be very welcomed. You get a cup of coffee, and and you're made very welcome.
Okay, listen, it's been lovely speaking to you, Ethna.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate you giving us some understanding, and we'll just listen. If 2 or 3 people that are it relates to decide to sort of say, right, I might try this, well then it's been more than worthwhile. But it's been worthwhile in any case speaking to you and getting a better understanding, and thank you so much for calling in.
Yes, thank you for your time as well.
No, it's our pleasure. We'll be back with more shortly.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Loganair's big summer sale is here. Save up to 15% off on over 1 million seats across the UK. Book by 9th January, travel from 1st February. Subject to availability, exclusions apply. Visit loganair.co.uk. Loganair, your journey, our joy.
As a woman, you know your body better than anyone. But when you're looking for answers, Irish Life Health gives you access to GPs who are specialists in female health to guide you in areas like menstrual health, contraception, fertility and menopause. Our female health benefit is available on all hospital plans, like our first cover plan, from just €41.92 per month. Join today. Search Irish Life Female Health. Terms and conditions apply. Irish Life Health DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonahur Road, Donegal Town.
Guess what? It's now simpler than ever to look after your health with the new Gut Shot from M&S Food and the scientists at Zoe. Combining delicious taste with scientific research is a great way to give your gut a good dose of fibre and a source of calcium, which supports the normal functioning of your tum. And it contains over 5 billion live cultures from 14 different strains of bacteria. This is not just a gut shot. This is our ultimate gut shot from M&S Food and Zoe.
Now, you're very welcome back to the programme. We're joined on it now by Gillian McNulty, health campaigner with cystic fibrosis. Good morning to Gillian. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you keeping?
I'm good, thanks.
That's good. Right, okay, we're talking about hospital food, really. You've been in and out of hospital, many hospitals, I'd imagine, or at least a few, for years at this point, Gillian.
I have, yeah. In the last 3 years, in the last 2 years, I've been in 3 different hospitals. And the food was basically the same in every one.
And you don't rate it terribly highly, do you?
No, I don't. The food is never hot. It's tasteless. There's absolutely zero effort. And a lot of the time it's actually inedible. And that's just not acceptable when patients are in hospital recovering from surgery or recovering from illness. Like, I have cystic fibrosis, and nutrition is a huge part of cystic fibrosis. And you just don't get the nutrition that you need when you're in hospital.
What kind of food have you been given?
Oh, gosh. Everything. Rashers, scrambled eggs. I remember one evening for tea, I got rashers and scrambled eggs, and the grease was literally pools at the bottom of the plate. It was disgusting. You get like steak and beef pie or steak and mushroom pie and stuff like this. It doesn't even resemble a pie. A vol au vent doesn't even look like a vol au vent. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Lumpy spuds?
Lumpy spuds, cold spuds, overcooked veg or undercooked veg. So you could get peas that are burnt almost, that they're shriveled up, or carrots and broccoli, say, would come basically raw. You actually can't eat them.
Your last hospital stay was just before Christmas. What was the food like?
It wasn't great, to be honest. I asked for the soft food diet because I'd had spinal surgery in September and I couldn't eat because the incision was in my throat. So I was put on soft food. That was fabulous, really hot. The potatoes were mashed properly. The veg was mashed, like, really good. So I actually requested that this time because I could not cope with getting cold food that I knew I was going to waste. And on the Saturday, just before Christmas Eve, I had ordered a boiled egg and toast for my breakfast, and that came and they were cold and the tea was barely warm. So I was like, that's it, I'm out. I can't do this over Christmas, so I signed myself out.
And I mean, since you've there's an article actually in the Irish Independent that was published, and I'm sure maybe you've made your views known on social media. What's the feedback been like? I mean, you will get some people that will come to the defence of a certain hospital where it is might be in the country. I mean, you can only speak of your experience in 3 hospitals, but what's the feedback, if any, that you've been receiving from around the country so far, Gillian?
The general feedback, people agree. A lot of people agree that the food is crap. I've had people text me going, oh my God, like, thank you for highlighting this because it is atrocious. I know someone that's been in hospital for 2 years and they've literally solely had to rely on family to bring in food to them or takeaways.
Yeah.
And that isn't acceptable.
Yeah, and there's 2 things going on in here. Obviously, is the quality of it, like lumpy spuds, cold chicken or beef or whatever. But if you quite rightly pointed out as well, there's a nutritional element of it, which, you know, can be quite serious for people. It's all serious, but you know what I mean? If you've specific dietary requirements, there's an extra level added on here.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's people in hospital that are sick or recovering from surgery. We're not asking for 5-star food. You just want something basic that you can eat that is of nutritional value. You know what I mean? Instead of sending back a full tray with dinner that you haven't eaten. So therefore you go without a meal. Or you buy in a takeaway. Now, I don't buy takeaways anymore because I'm post-kidney transplant and I wouldn't take the risk of food poisoning or whatever. But literally, I could be starving in hospital, you know, and this thing of they bring around the breakfast at 7:30, 8 o'clock, your lunch is at 12:30 and your tea is at 4:30. That's it. You get nothing else until 7:30, 8 o'clock the following morning. It's absolutely insane.
Do you think we're less likely to complain because, you know, we're aware that hospital staff are under pressure, that maybe we're just delighted if they get us better and get us out of the building and you know, the memory of the bad food tends to fade away? Do you think, like, maybe it is more people's experience, but they're less likely to complain in that setting? I don't know.
I think the Irish people in general don't complain. They always say, oh yeah, it was fine. But when you're in hospital regularly, like I am, and other CF patients and cancer patients, whatever the case is, when people are in regularly, you need to complain. You have to say something, because I've been in hospital for 3-4 months at a time sometimes. You know, one particular admission in 2020, I was in for nearly 4 months, and that was during COVID. So everywhere was closed. I wasn't allowed to leave my room, and I was handed this horrible food day after day after day, and it breaks you. because all you want, because you're hungry, obviously you're recovering from a really bad infection, and you're brought dinner that you can't eat. Like, it just breaks you. The amount of times I've ended up in tears, and it seems really insignificant to somebody that's healthy from the outside, saying, oh, well, what is she complaining about? You know, it's great. The services are great for cystic fibrosis and everything like that, but we need proper nutrition as well.
Of course, you do. And I think the timings of the meals you mentioned there is really quite significant as well, because if you skip one of those, or if you feel can't eat, it's a long old day and you are in recovery mode, hopefully, you know. So I think the timings of the meals is really quite an interesting point you made there as well.
Yeah, like that's now in my hospital. I know another hospital very close to me that in the evening the patients would get a sandwich or something like that, yogurt or whatever. There's not that option in the hospital that I attend in Dublin. Now, I'm sure it's different in every other hospital, but I mean, to be left without food for over 12 hours it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of patients that can't stand up for themselves or feel like, well, I can't say anything because, and that's not fair. That's not fair to do that to a patient.
Okay. Gillian, that's your experience, and thank you so much for sharing it with us. Take care of yourself. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Gillian McNulty, health campaigner with cystic fibrosis. My experience is a little bit different in our local hospital, and the catering staff, fantastic, and also almost not catering for demands, but, you know, putting an extra care in. So, as I say, that's my experience, that our local hospital here, Letterkenny University Hospital, it wasn't quite the situation Gillian described, but again, that was her experience, and I can only talk of ours. Okay, this caller says, I've been in hospital a few times and I disagree with Gillian. The service I got was unbelievable. Maybe she's used to 5-star hotels, but I cannot say a bad word about the food. And this year I've been in Letterkenny, Dublin and Waterford hospitals. But as I say, Gillian is a cystic fibrosis patient who spends and has spent quite a long time in hospital and has particular dietary requirements as well. And that, as I say, is her experience. I agree with Gillian. It's the nutritional value of the food that concerns me. Is there any dietitian consulted before any of it is served? I was in hospital. This is on different issues now. I was in hospital yesterday visiting my daughter after the arrival of my new grandchild. I was so shocked to see the amount of people standing around coughing, not covering their mouths or coughing into their elbow. No wonder there's so many doses about. It's terrible to see so many people with all these doses. All of the hospital staff were wearing masks and only 1 or 2 visitors were. Well, the hospital has asked everyone who's visiting the hospital to wear a mask, and they've also asked everyone who's visiting the hospital not to do so if they have any respiratory illness. Because what's all right for us in the community, and not universally, but for the most part, it can be deadly, of course, to someone who's already ill or vulnerable. So I wonder, is it a case that people aren't heeding that advice? They're asking people to wear masks in the hospital because of the amount of RSV, COVID and flu going around, but also not to visit if they have respiratory concerns. But according to this one person's experience, that is not being heeded there. Best wishes for the new year and to you. I was interested to hear your last guest's insight on alcohol and dry January, but I just don't concur with the suggestion of any God. There is one true God, our Father in heaven, the creator and Lord of all. So beware the many false gods enticing people in the world today. And that is your view, but there are many hundreds of gods. And there are people in different countries who believe that their God also is the one true God and their Father in heaven. That's just the reality of it. And you can't exclude people from trying to get off alcohol because they might happen to believe in a different God. That wouldn't be very Christian either, would it? It's a complex one. All right, what do you think? 086 60 25,000. Back with more after these.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us what. The Lotto jackpot is an estimated €11.2 million. Play responsibly in store, in app, or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Caróí the vaccine flu agus COVID-19 leat the chóras in mínachta a nartónaig tinnas chromcúiseach. Multar vaccine flu ditch má tá tú 65 nóní sinna. Multar chandóile COVID-19 ditch má tá tú 5 nóní sinna. Multar an dá vaccine de bro chóram sláinte, agus déan duine tá gompar cluine nó bhfuil ruch sláinte fe téarmach arú. Leir le Dr. Tiley nó cógasúra an fardach, nó chun níos mó ólas áil feic ar hsc.ie ón HSE.
Did you know that from January 2024, the contributory state pension will become more flexible?
But what does that mean for me?
And me. It means you can still claim your pension when you're 66 years of age, or you can wait and claim it at any point between the age of 67 and 70. You could receive a higher rate of pension as a result. To find out what option is best for you, visit gov.ie/flexible pension. A Government of Ireland initiative brought to you by the Department of Social Protection.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Sunny spells and scattered showers today. Some hail and thunder possible. Highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees and a light to moderate westerly wind. Now, the government's being called on to hold a referendum to protect patents and intellectual copyright. 17 of the 27 EU member states are already signed up to the... let me have a look at this with my... Unitary Patent Court, my apologies, but Ireland is not. The court provides legal protection to those who invent products or create matter that is governed by intellectual copyright. Fianna Fáil Senator Malcolm Byrne says if we signed up, Ireland could become more attractive to outside innovators. It's an interesting one. The Senator joins us now. Good morning to you, Malcolm. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Greg, and Happy New Year to you and to your listeners.
And same to you. The line is brutal. I'll ask you another question just in the hope that improves. Right, okay, so why do you think it's important that the government holds a referendum on this issue, and why is a referendum required?
So if we invent or...
Sorry, Malcolm, can I disconnect the line and reconnect with you if you don't mind? It's just there's a noise on it. Thank you, Senator. I'll be back with you momentarily. In 2024, I'd like to see zero tolerance against all abusers, including child abuse, false allegations, parental alienation, no matter the gender, and Stormont start working for all the people of the North and the rest of Ireland. What's your New Year's wish? 086 60 25,000. Relights outside the school in Manor. A caller says she'd be curious what date they were not working, as her daughter also received a fine. However, there should be some responsibility taken by parents who also don't look out properly when they are collecting their children and often drive out in front of traffic. It's a wonder no one has been hurt so far. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but listen, it's collective responsibility, isn't it? Right, Senator Byrne, sorry about that. Just wanted to make sure our listeners and myself heard you clearly. So I'll just ask you why you believe and why does there need to be a referendum on us joining the Unitary Patent Court?
No problem, Greg. So if we invent or create something in order to protect our intellectual property, in that the standard way we go about it is that we look to get a patent to protect it, and we assert that patent in different jurisdictions. So it's a little bit complex within the European Union at present because there are slightly different rules depending on member states. And the idea behind a unified patent court system is that if you invent something in Ireland, that patent can be protected not just in Ireland, but in France, in Germany, right throughout the European Union, that there are similar rules that will apply and similar enforcement mechanisms. So this court has been set up to do that. It's particularly important for anyone who's an inventor. So we see a lot of inventions in Ireland in technology, in pharmaceuticals. And Ireland has in principle signed up to join the Unified Patent Court system, but we're not fully there yet because it has to be ratified. 17 of the 27 EU member states have gone ahead and do it, but they can do it because of legislation. But in the case of Ireland, because it involves the transfer of a small amount of sovereignty to a new European court system, we have to change our constitution. And as your listeners will know, in order to change the Irish constitution, we have to have a referendum. So this isn't, I appreciate it's not the biggest news story, but for enterprise and for inventors in Ireland, this is crucial. And so for me, it would make sense. There's already talk about that we're going to have referendum on the role of women in society in March, and we've local and European elections taking place in June. So for me, it would make sense to hold this vote at the same time as either the March referenda or the local and European elections
As
in
it
June.
stands, Malcolm, does this require, for it to become effectual, ratification in all member states, or currently, if you get a patent in one of the 17 that have already signed up to it, then your patent it covers those countries, if you know what I mean? Or does everybody have to sign up for it to become effective?
Well, the 17 that are fully signed up, the system is already in place.
Okay.
So if you are in one of those 17 member states, which for instance would include France or Belgium, you can use the system that's in place at present. There is a mechanism whereby you can look to get a European patent and have it enforced and applied across the European Union, but it was a quite complex system. So the idea behind this was to make it as easy as possible that if you're an inventor or creator, so if you're in Donegal and you come up with a great new idea, but you obviously want to protect that idea right across the European Union, rather than you having to go through the courts of all the different member states or through a more cumbersome European process, that there would be a very simple process that would allow it to be recognised right throughout the European Union.
And just finally and briefly, you mentioned the S word there, sovereignty, and given that it's not necessarily for most the most pressing issue, is it a bit of a messy one that the government might not want to sort of get involved in at the moment?
Well, look, I mean, the government says we're in principle we're signed up to this. And I do appreciate, and I totally get, it's probably not in the list of 100 most important things that we need to address, but for those who are inventors and creators, this is something that is quite important.
And you might choose to go somewhere else and do it somewhere else where it's simpler, I suppose, really.
Exactly. So part of this is around trying to encourage and support the creation of new ideas in Ireland and the development of intellectual property here. It's a good idea. And that's why I'm saying not that we'd have a separate referendum on the issue, but if we're going to be going to the polls in March and in June, let's just put that piece of paper before the voters at that stage as well.
Rightio, Senator. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. That's Senator Malcolm Byrne. News on the way.
We have recycling all wrapped up this festive season. Use your local bring banks for all those empty glass bottles, jars, food and drink cans. Please remember not to leave any waste materials at the banks. To find your nearest bring bank, visit donegalcoco.ie. Recycle more with Donegal County Council.
Actions speak louder than words, so I'll keep the words to a minimum. Last year, thousands of people chose Seat for their new car. Why? Because with the Arona, Ateca and Tarraco, we have a stunning lineup of SUVs. And we offer a wide range of purchase options to suit your needs. To see what you've been missing out on, visit seat.ie and check out our 241 offers. Visit seat.ie. What are you waiting for? Go on. Seat.ie for our 241 offers.
It's the Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price sale. Get up to 50% off all tiles. Wood flooring, bathware, cladding, everything's reduced. Tiles from only $8.99 per square yard and wood flooring from only $11.99 per square yard. Right Price Tiles and Wood Flooring half-price January sale is now on.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okay, Aoife Hunter of Aoife McGill Personal Training is going to be joining me in studio to talk about perhaps taking the first steps to getting fit. Any questions for Aoife? 086 60 25,000. But at 11 o'clock, let's get a news update with Michaela. Good morning, Michaela.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. An elderly man in the Kilmacrennan area has been left frightened and traumatised after a vandalism incident outside his home on Monday night. Paving stones were pulled up at his front door, pots and plants were thrown around outside his home, and his back gate was damaged. The Ulster Unionist Party says bad decisions made by politicians over the next few weeks and months could see things in Northern Ireland crumble to a new low. Stormont would return if the DUP ended its boycott of the Northern Ireland institutions over concerns around Brexit trading arrangements. Gardaí have confirmed that investigations are continuing into an alleged sexual assault in West Donegal on Christmas Eve. A woman is believed to have been assaulted at around 2 a.m. on December the 24th in the Bunbeg area. CCTV footage has been reviewed by investigators. A Donegal councillor is advising people to challenge speeding fines they've received for allegedly speeding outside Maharabeg National School close to Manor Cunningham on the N13 Letterkenny Derry Road. Councillor Paul Canning says there are issues with the location of a Go Safe speed van close to the school and also with the flashing lights near the school warning of reduced speed limits not working at certain times. Changes to a scheme that will allow more people to buy their council house have been described as problematic. From January the 29th, the eligibility criteria is being reformed to make it easier for tenants in local authority homes to buy the property. There's calls for tech grants to help older people live more independently. Midlands North West MEP Colin Markey says government schemes to help older people live in their homes for longer are outdated and need to be revised. He believes funding for the Seniors Alert scheme should be amended to include assistive technology. And a public meeting is being held next week to discuss ongoing works at Port Salon pier. Works began at the pier in July. However, there was much concern as it was understood the project needed to be completed by October the 31st to ensure funding from the Brexit Adjustment Fund could be drawn down. It's since been confirmed that funding will be made available to complete the works. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Thank you very much, Michaela.
Tracy Twain tried a twister on the train and the twister was so tasty, Tracy went to KFC again to try another twister wrap. And Tracy's got the right idea because a KFC lunch is kind of a big deal. Get the twister wrap of the day, just $2.90. That's right, just $2.90, only at KFC.
Weekdays only from January 2nd to February 4th. Not available online.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We didn't even get a chance to say hello properly, but we can do so on air. Aoife Hunter of Aoife McGill Personal Training. How are you getting on, Aoife?
Good, Greg. How are you?
Good. What's your views about us trying to make life changes at the start of the year? Is it a good thing to do, bad thing to do, or is it just depends on the individual?
No, do you know what? I do think it's a good time of year to reset. I like January and September to reset. I think everybody's a bit fed up now. The sweet treats and the heavy meals over the month of December. Really, Christmas parties and things start maybe even towards the end of November. So it's a good time to reset and start to create some healthy habits again.
And I suppose, what's the best way of doing this then? Is it to have a plan? Is it to set goals? Is it to... And I'm not necessarily talking about weight goals. I'm on about sort of activity goals.
Yeah, in general, I think across the board, it's a good time of year to set goals with your nutrition and your exercise habits. In relation to both, I sort of always like, I think I mentioned a few times before about sort of the healthy habits to create that you can sort of adapt into your daily routine and maintain them. Like consistency is a key. 5 real habits, I suppose, with my work and things, I always relate to them as 5 golden guidelines. So one is as simple as just upping your water intake daily.
Talk to me about the water intake. How important is that though? What does it do?
Hugely keeps your whole body hydrated for a start. But like the recommended daily allowance for men and women is roughly about 8 glasses a day. But really, how many of us do that over 7 days of the week? And for good health alone, it is massively important. And a lot of the time when people feel hungry, they're dehydrated. So I would focus on the water intake.
Have you drank any water yet?
I have.
How much?
I have my glasses this morning. 2 glasses I've got on me and a herbal tea. Your teas can count.
I've had 2.
You promised last year you would up your water.
I know that, but I promised lots of people lots of things. I do want to. I do be good at it, but then I'd be forgetful. Yeah. Right. So like I went to get my back. I had issues with my back and had to keep reapplying the oil or whatever it is because my skin was soaking up. I was so dehydrated, my skin was literally drinking this stuff. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's what really brought it home to me, you know, the relationship between your body and hydration or dehydration. Right, so you've had green tea. 2, well done. That's a point for you. I've had 2 cups of coffee. That's a 0, a 0 for me. So you're talking about 8, okay?
8 to 10, yeah. Like that'd be a rough gauge. Somebody more active would need more.
Of course,
but really, your average person would be 8 to 10.
I'm sitting here. My lips are so dry, right? Because I'm dehydrated. I'm trying to moisten them because in case it's so bloody obvious.
Keep a bottle beside you.
I know, yeah. Okay,
that's just one.
I really am definitely going to try and work on that. I have been trying to improve certain things, so that's definitely going to be one of them. Okay, so that's a key thing. That's a simple thing. We can all do that. It's a bit of my waddy through it okay?
I would. You could go the sugar-free versions, if you're diluted juice, and it's no harm at all.
I think I asked you that last year.
Sparkling water, whichever way you get it in.
Okay, right.
But then the second, the water's one. Another one at your meals, I would just try to get a bit of colour on your plate. Just for nutrient value and everything. Third, simply move more. As far as exercise goes. Back to nutrition, protein. I always like to emphasize
what is protein then?
So I would always recommend try to get a bit of protein at most meals.
Yes.
Because it does a variety of things for the body. But your sources would be, it doesn't have to be your meat, your fish, your eggs, which are great sources, but the likes of Greek yogurts and things. Remarkably this year, and probably into last year as well, a lot of our local supermarkets have really, really jumped on the bandwagon with the protein, and they have loads of handy pouches you can take if you're on the run,
and
if you're busy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And is that to do with energy, is it?
Yeah.
Is that like slow release?
Do you know what? It's a thermic effect that on your body on the breakdown of protein. So your body, in simple terms, just uses more calories to break down the protein, so it can aid body fat loss.
Right.
Your body breaks down fats and carbohydrates a lot quicker, has to work harder to break down your protein sources. But the main thing really, it keeps you fuller for longer, which is hugely important. And it helps retain your muscle mass. So it really is like the holy grail of your macronutrients.
Okay, so that's
the rest
really
are important. I wouldn't go low fat or low carbohydrate, but emphasize your protein.
So that's another just little thing you can do. So we're already at 3 things, right?
3 things.
You talked about moving more. Since the last time I spoke to you, they sort of downgraded the amount of daily steps you need to get the benefits of it from 10 to 2,000.
See, I was never a big one on the 10,000 steps anyway. I find that sometimes if somebody wasn't getting, if you have somebody sedentary and they weren't getting their 10,000 steps a day, they're automatically deflated, and they feel not as good as somebody else who's on their feet all day and getting those steps.
And it might seem like a non-achievable target too.
Unachievable, that's it. And it's exactly the word, back to being not sustainable or attainable.
So my watch tells me how many steps I do a day, right? So do they count against activity?
Yeah.
So you don't have to literally, obviously we're going to talk about maybe getting out for a walk or what have you. But when you talk about sedentary versus active, if you're walking around or busy or in and out and this, that all counts, does it? Yeah.
You're basically on your feet.
All right.
Use the stairs, park in the farthest away car park of the supermarket, anything to get a bit of activity in throughout your day.
And it all adds up, even if it's in small little bits, it adds up throughout the course of the day.
It just saves you from seizing up, it's in simple terms.
All right, okay, so those are, we can do that. That's 3 or 4 we can definitely do. What else?
They're all simple, really, really simple. So what did I forget?
Well, we've done walking, water,
your
greens.
Proteins, your greens, and your calorie deficit is one that I always recommend, because myself, yourself and 10 other people can line up, but you want to be in a maintainable calorie deficit. January is a typical term where somebody will go for 1,200 calories a day because they heard somebody say that was a good thing to do. I wouldn't touch it. Why? You'll be hungry. It's just, and moody and everything else that comes with that, lethargic. You want, for example, like for a woman, your RDA for calories is 2,000 calories a day. Men is 2,500. So if you were just to reduce that even by, say, 200 a day, over 7 days, you'll have your calorie deficit and not feel deprived.
And that means that your body is burning more than you're taking in.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like we all have this thing called...
So you won't gain weight with a calorie deficit?
No, you're looking to lose body fat. And
yeah.
I kind of like the term to lose body fat more so than weight, because again, back to the weighing scale, and if you gain a muscle mass, it all weighs and whatnot. So I would aim for losing body fat and not so much worry about body weight.
Yeah,
so
maybe it's how your clothes fit.
Go over the clothes, exactly. Get a tape measure, check around your midsection.
I don't think we're good at looking at ourselves in the mirror anyway, because sometimes we see what's not there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, and the scales, I mean, my weight, I kind of like, you'd go up in the scales, but depending on the time of the day, your weight can vary by 4 or 5 pounds.
I mean, you up your water, and I have people genuinely who will not get on the scale when they come in, they go over to the bathroom first. I mean, it is so menstrual cycle. Everything has got like an effect on the scale. How much food is in the gut, throughout the day. You could be 2 pounds lighter in the morning than you are in the evening. It's not a true reflection of your body fat loss.
Water or hydration, does tea count as hydration?
Yeah, well, tea is a diuretic, so liquids, get your liquids in, but you don't want to get dehydrated. So I would have your tea. Herbal teas, I would tend to, for a few reasons, is because
but herbal tea is disgusting.
You won't dunk a biscuit in it.
No, but I mean, like, your cup of tea's lovely. Herbal tea's vile.
Have your tea. Have your coffees. I would cut nothing out, but maybe lesser. Now your teas, that's okay as long as it's not 3
Well, you don't
sugar.
want to be saying, I'm fine, I've had 10 cups of tea today.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Especially if you have a spoon of sugar in it or something or whatever. So, does tea count against hydration? Yes. Should you get all your hydration from tea?
No.
Possibly no, yeah?
There you
go. So try and maybe cut 1 cup of tea out, firstly, and have a glass of water instead.
There you go.
Okay. Right. We're getting there. Right, so then the thing is, where do we start? Like, where do you start? Because I know what I want to do, right? And this is not all really me talking about, maybe some of it is, but I know where I want to be, and it might not even be incredibly ambitious, but I just can't take that literally the first step. Now, for some, it might be standing up and sitting down in the chair a bit more.
I would, across the board, say you start tomorrow, slowly, gradually over the next 6, 8, 12 weeks to add an extra wee element in. But as far as nutrition goes, go and do a food shop, plan the meals for the week so that you're not rushing to the bread shop and picking up the convenience bits and pieces on the way. Exercise wise, then it depends where you're starting. If you're completely sedentary and have done nothing in years and years, then start off with a simple walk. If you have ailments and things, a walk in the pool, it'll help. A swim is fantastic.
Like, you could be that person that has maybe some balance issues, and it could be simply because you're not walking enough. The muscles not reacting as it should, because a lot of that stuff is involuntary, isn't it?
Yeah. And things like arthritis and osteoporosis, that people are terrified of exercise, but you couldn't do better. And one thing that I couldn't recommend enough for those people is strength training. And people, women in particularly, are terrified of it, and women in particularly should really, really strength train. Not working out like a bodybuilder, but you can strength train with light. You can do it with your own body weight at home. You can go to a trainer with light dumbbells, kettlebells. You can even use resistance bands. But the strength training, again paired with your protein, can do wonders for a body.
A disabled person can't walk. What can they do to exercise? Waving their arms around is boring as hell, and you can get that, but that person might benefit from a greater upper body strength.
Just strength training, exactly.
So we're talking about, it could be 2 bean cans, or
I would even go to but maybe an assessment with a trainer, maybe initially. Like Donegal's got a broad range of facilities. Even close to here, we've got like no barriers, and then we've got like our own facilities. The nation or county-wide, there's loads. But for that person, disabled in a chair, I'm assuming it's from the lower body down. Maybe that's a wrong assumption to make.
No, that's what they seem to be indicating.
But definitely upper body strength training. Dumbbells, kettlebells, resistance bands, loads,
Yeah, okay. What about eggs? Just wondering, is too many eggs bad for you? It might be bad for your partner, but anyway, go ahead.
In moderation, I would go the eggs as well. But eggs is a great source in the morning to kickstart your protein for the day. But I appreciate too, not everybody's got the time. So I would maybe alternate your eggs and bacon one morning to your porridge, or
you can boil the eggs the night before.
Well, it's true. Did you do that this morning?
No, I didn't. But I can whip up scrambled egg in no time at all. So eggs, they're good for you, but I mean, you're not having eggs morning, noon, and night.
Do you know another thing? There you get and your supermarkets now, like egg white. So it's got the lesser calorie, the
That's
lesser.
meringue, isn't it?
So you can meringue for breakfast. If you're conscious of too many eggs, you could balance it out with, say, an egg to 2 egg whites or something like that.
It's the most versatile food, eggs. You can have them in so many different ways, and they taste different almost whichever way you go to cook them. So say, for instance, right, I don't want chips with my things. So say I'm having chicken or whatever it might be, so I don't want chip. What's a good substitute for that? Is rice good for you?
Yeah. You're right. And back to the...
Because I could eat rice all the time.
Yeah. And, I assume if you're eating out, I suppose everything you're not sure how it's cooked, usually I suppose in a deep fat fryer, but from home, like the air fryers have got so popular. So the chips, you're cutting up your fresh potato, that's fine. You can spray it with a bit of your oils or your fry light sprays and things like that. It doesn't... People, don't restrict yourself. If you like your chips, have them.
This is not good advice you're giving me here at all. If you don't restrict myself.
No, because it's not sustainable then long term. Lesser, what you like. That's why I'm not a lover of food plans. Like, people come through the door, I always say, tell me what you like. I'll cut nothing off you, maybe cut back and have suggestions of other.
But this kind of comes back, doesn't it, to the calorie deficit?
Exactly.
It doesn't really. If you can eat the food that you like. It's the amount, the quantity and the regularity with which you're eating, isn't it? Because if you are consuming less calories than you would ordinarily burn in a day, you're never going to gain weight. And hopefully if you start to cut back, as you say, over a period of time, you will burn fat because...
And that is absolute...
It's like a car using petrol. It just is a fact, isn't it?
And you might get this stage too where you get your maintenance weight and you're happy, and then you can maintain your certain calorie content or deficit. But the one thing I'd really, really hone in on the and such as the calorie deficit is over 7 days. It's absolutely pointless to be really perfect with it Monday to Thursday and forget about it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because come towards it, as I said, 7 days, 40 a month, there may have been no deficit at all.
Yeah, I get you. All right. Now, as you mentioned, we've got many professionals around, including yourself at Aoife McGill Personal Training and all across the county, and they're really quite accessible in different places as well. They're there for a reason. They're professionals. They will give you advice. They'll give you some guidance, wouldn't you? And we go to professionals in many areas of our life. Say, for instance, if you want to stop smoking, you do the HSC system, you're far more likely to succeed.
Yeah, so support network, I think.
Exactly. So in terms of our health, why wouldn't we sort of, at least in the first instance, go in and get some support and some help, maybe take a membership? It depends on the individual. So we should try and find the money or the time to do that, I think. You would endorse that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And as I say, not everybody needs the likes of our services, but if you feel like you're stuck and you've tried everything and you want that bit of advice and help, then surely call on us, as you say, across the county. There's loads of professionals willing to help that you might not need long term. Sometimes you just need the knowledge to get going, and you can keep at it yourself and maybe a public leisure centre at home. But it's just, let's say, in relation to strength training and things, it's learning the correct techniques, not so much downloading apps off phones and, not necessarily getting it correct. So you don't want to end up with injury and things like that.
Well, that's it. But you can also help prevent injury with exercising, can't you? Because, if you suffer with back problems, support your core strengthening will help in that regard. If you suffer with tension in your back and neck, stretching, exercising.
Stretching. We don't do enough of stretching.
No,
as a nation, we don't stretch.
We don't do any stretching. Well, between me and you, I think one of us does, right? But and other things you also mentioned, osteoporosis and supporting the bones and what have you, stronger muscles. Do you know what I mean? So it's not, when we talk about exercising and being fit, the instant for maybe someone in this seat is thinking about body shape and weight.
Exactly.
But the benefits far go beyond that, don't they? And the mental health, we haven't even touched on that.
Hugely. This is the thing. There is an element sort of modern day, which is a bit sad, to be honest, that things have gone a bit aesthetic, but it's not what it is all about. But health and fitness is somebody who struggles, somebody who has osteoporosis or arthritis or whatever it is, diabetes. There's loads and loads of benefits for us all. Health benefits, mental health, as you say. Sure, I always say, and I know it's maybe such a cliche, but if you could genuinely bottle the effects of exercise, you'd have a miracle cure for a lot of things.
And listen, so many people say it, and it's not just people who help people, it's those that have started to exercise themselves and feel better about it. It's not surprising, I suppose, this time of year the TV shows are coming out. I don't know what they're called again. Don't watch them. I hope they don't still weigh people on those shows. Do you?
They do. A lot of them do.
It's kind of counterintuitive to the message people like yourselves to try to get out there, that boil it down to humiliating yourself on telly and getting up on weighing scales and stuff.
Yeah, I do. As you know, I do always have a bit of issue with that because it is just it's a tool. Surely, there's no denying that. But we do call it the sad step. I mean, it's not a true reflection of your hard work month long. There's so many factors that influence the weighing scale, and I would genuinely take progress pictures of yourself. Nobody else needs to see them, but say at 4 weeks, 8 weeks and 12 weeks, and you'll see your shape changing. It's all about the body fat loss, not the weight. You gain muscle that weighs on a weighing scale, and it would drive you crazy really if you're holding in on it too much.
Because it's the disappointment people have then. So say, I gained 2 pounds this week.
Yeah.
Go and have a poo. I don't want to be. I don't want. No, I don't mean
but
it.
It's true, it's
I know it really sounds like a thing I was saying was crude. I don't mean. But that is when you are looking at the scales. It comes down to stuff like that.
Yeah. So many factors. Yeah. That is so true.
But anyway, so Aoife, it is a good time now. I think. Listen, it's a new year.
Yes.
We all want to be strolling up the beach. You know,
The summer's around the corner.
Budgie smugglers looking fantastic. But if people want sort of have a chat with you, and I think people from speaking to you will realise it's a realistic chat. And I've spoke to some, as I said before, there's a brilliant community of personal trainers out there, and they really want people through the door to make positive changes and impacts in their lives, and that's one of the key motivators for someone like
yourself. There's no better
Eve.
feeling, when you feel like you've helped somebody along the way.
Okay.
And as I say, a broad range of people. So it's not just as you say, this time of year, there seems to be a thing where people assume it's your athlete who's looking to go and run an adventure race by Easter. It's not. It's looking for somebody to help somebody who do not know where to start. They're absolutely blind to it, terrified of it. Come in, let us help you, and we're there for anybody who needs it.
Okay, listen, and if you listen to us today and it has kick-started, you remember us and come back to us in a month or 2 or 3 months or 4 months and tell us how you're feeling now. Aoife, it's always a pleasure having you in.
Thank you very much.
Aoife Hunter of Aoife McGill Personal Training. You can check Aoife out on Facebook, Aoife McGill Personal Training. And as I say, we've got loads of friends working in this industry as well who will be more than happy to help. Quickly, before I let you go, what's the best thing to eat for putting weight on in a healthy way, not crisps? Because there are people too actually looking to increase their weight.
Yeah, like that. Like we touched on calorie deficit for body fat loss, but for body fat gain. Now, you could talk to a professional as well, but it's like up in the calories, up in the protein. Like, say, for example, your protein recommendation for your average moderately active man or woman is about a gram of protein per kg of body weight. Now, for more active, it would be pushing closer to 2 grams or whatnot. So that person could put, I'm assuming now their health's well and everything, and they would need to get their go-ahead from their GP. But they're up their protein, up their calories, and that'll come down to their BMR and BMI. But like that, if they need help, we're always there to give some more details.
Is BMI important?
Yeah, BMR more so, but
you see, BMI, you have to measure your tank. You know what I mean? It can look good on paper, but you really have to put your tank in there as well if you're a fella, don't you? All right, Aoife, thanks for your time. We'll be back with more after the break.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Why leave all the magic moments or great scenes you've captured on your phone sitting there or in the cloud when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using the McGee's app or one of the in-store kiosks, you can upload your photos from your phone, Google Photos, Facebook or Instagram and have them printed instantly within an hour or in by 10 and ready by 5. See McGee's.ie for more details. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
Get ready for Easy Living Furniture's biggest ever winter sale. Absolutely everything reduced across sofa, dining, bedroom, mattress and accessories. It's the furniture you want at amazing winter sale prices. Winter sale now on at Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park. Wishing all our wonderful customers a happy and healthy new year.
Highland Radio time checks with Expressway. Travel Route 32 from Letterkenny to Dublin when you book online and travel for less. Expressway, bringing you the time at...
Okay, the time is 11:24. You're very welcome back to the programme. We were talking to Gillian about hospital food. That lady must never have been in Letterkenny Hospital. Best food in Ireland. I think that's good too. I agree. I said that myself. The food in Letterkenny is excellent in my opinion, says another caller. Been in and out of Letterkenny Hospital several times and the food is very good. Yeah, indeed. That's the experience locally. So, in fact, if nothing else has come out of that interview, lots of people have been able to praise the catering staff at Letterkenny University Hospital. In terms of hospital food, nutrition, the key is in resourcing the right ingredients or sourcing them. Local organic produce, free of chemicals and GMOs, of course. This will be a bit more expensive, however. What could aid a patient more in their recovery? Another hospital food was always excellent. Family and friends would agree that it was always good. I don't know what kitchen she was going to. She's condemning everything about hospital food, which I think is totally wrong. But listen, it's her experience. She's a cystic fibrosis patient in and out of 3 Dublin-based hospitals, and that was her experience. And as I say, it's given us an opportunity to praise the staff at Letterkenny University Hospital, which people are doing in They're dozens, which is good, isn't it? Okay. Right, what time is it? It is time for Business Matters.
Business Matters in association with Atlantic Technological University, Donegal. Study for a Doctorate of Business Administration and obtain the highest level management qualification available. Visit atu.ie/DBA.
And you're very welcome back to the programme after that 15-second break. It was just to welcome our friend Chris Ashmore. Good morning, Chris. Happy New Year to you.
And to you.
Any New Year's resolutions?
No.
Good. Because you're perfect. What could you change?
Do you know, I didn't give it much thought at all this year. Yeah, just
but
suddenly
I think a lot of traditional
us.
stuff like that is not pushed as much anymore.
Yeah, I think...
It used to always be asked, and now it's very rare. Only bald idiots ask that question now.
It's good to be back into a routine, though.
It is, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
But it was also good to have a break.
Absolutely.
Lovely,
life balance.
Lovely Christmas, actually, I must say. Right, okay. Local enterprise office, they're always in a routine. They're always busy and plenty coming up from them.
Yeah, a number of events coming up this month as we sort of get back into normality. On Friday week, that's January the 12th, there's a virtual business support clinic. Lots of useful advice there. You can go online for that. And the first of this year's always popular Start Your Own Business programs. Well, that's on Tuesday, the February the 6th for the next one of those. And you can get more details on the local enterprise office website. So, something to look out for, and some advance notice as well that the Local Enterprise Office and Enterprise Europe Network are hosting a webinar on the 30th of January. It's called Going Green, Reduce Costs and Carbon Footprint, basically focusing on the energy efficiency grant, which is available to businesses. And local man Ronan McIntyre from Max Deli in Letterkenny, he'll be on the webinar to share his experience. And look, we all know about the need to improve energy efficiency in businesses, and there is support there. So why not find out more about that?
Yeah. The easiest way to get people to change is to show people the advantages of it, rather than maybe punitive tax. On to your eye across planning.
Yeah, there's been a flurry of planning applications in just before the end of the year, and the last few weeks, seems every week there seems to be a new housing development, which is good to see given the housing shortage and increase in population. So just looking at some of the things that are in the pipeline at the moment, turning to Remelton, first of all, Glenmac Developments Limited have been given the green light by the County Council for the completion of a previously approved housing development. Now, quite a lot of developments had been, planning permission had been sought a number of years back. They hadn't gone through. There is a time limit on planning permissions, and then you can get that extended. So bottom line, plans for 45 new properties at Ballyboe in Remelton. In Carndonna, Ampco Builders Company Limited, well, they've been given planning permission to proceed with the construction of 23 houses at Churchland Quarters in the town. Meanwhile, the Apex Housing Association, they're planning to build 32 houses at Convoy Town Parks in Convoy. Initial stages of the planning application underway there. And in Ballybofey, Long March Development Limited, seeking planning approval to build 36 new houses at the beaches in the Navanny area of the town. So plenty in the pipeline. Yeah,
indeed. And Business Matters, the pod, is available for you to stream or download from our website now. We'll tell you when it's broadcast a little later on. But your guest this week, Chris?
Guest this week, Tony Forrester, Chief Executive Officer of Letterkenny Chamber. And founded in 1965, the Chamber will celebrate its 60th anniversary next year. Plays a significant role in fostering business development and promoting opportunities to create a thriving business environment. And its
Did you
membership.
cut and paste that off their website, Chris?
No, I think I added in the word thriving. Thriving. I like that word. So it's grown considerably. Now has more than 300 members, and appropriate to speak with Tony Forrester as she reflected on 2023, looking ahead to this coming year, and she's very upbeat about the future for Donegal's largest town, and she was basically explaining to me about how the Chamber's members are made up of a great diversity of businesses.
But it covers such a range of businesses, you know, all the really large employers right down to micro one-person businesses, and that gives gives us a really, I suppose, important breadth of knowledge, so we can kind of gather, what are people feeling at the very small end and at the large end of the market or of the business community, and it's a very interesting place to be. So the Chamber tries to help all of those as much as they can, and different businesses need us at different times. But as you said, the collective helping each other is really important, and sometimes it's hard to get that across. But we watch now, particularly when we have a business development executive, Marie Shields, we kind of try and connect people as much as we possibly can. So if somebody has a need for something, we'll try and connect them with somebody else who can help them.
Yeah, and looking forward to 2024, the Chamber have a very useful tool in their Almoner, in their sentiment survey, which they sort of can get a sense from the various businesses in Letterkenny and surrounds as to, how they view things going. So, good to see reason to be optimistic, because we're likely to see, Chris, in the first quarter, a reduction in interest rates too, as the EU tries to get its grasp, and it would say it has, on inflation. So, those little things, do help with sentiment and people spending the money that they have.
Absolutely. And likewise, the reduction of interest rates, there should be a knock-on effect for the mortgage rates, so that's going to help a lot of people out there as well.
A bit of competition in the supermarkets at the moment.
Yeah, big price drops.
Yeah, Lidl were the first at it, I think, and also one of the newer entrants into the electricity market again has cut its cost, which will put pressure on the others as well. So hopefully, people will see a little bit more value in their income now in 2024, and that obviously then leads to greater spend. And
also from the retail point of view, the fact we've the new tax year coming in, people are going to see a little increase in their wages, because most people are going to be better off as a result of the changes in the budget. And also at the end of the month, there is still another bonus payment for social welfare recipients. So this is all going to be a little bit of money circulating locally, so that's good.
Yeah,
good start to the year.
All right, okay. Cause to be cautiously optimistic for some out there, of course, fully conscious that for others the changes won't make as significant an impact. All right, Chris Ashmore, thank you so very much indeed. The podcast, before you go, Chris, the podcast available right now. It's broadcast on Sunday evening just after the 6 o'clock news, and if anyone wants to get in touch with you, Chris.
Yes, they can drop me an email at businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
Back after the break.
Business Matters, in association with Atlantic Technological University, Donegal. Study for a Doctorate of Business Administration and obtain the highest level management qualification available. Visit atu.ie/DBA.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Salon Healthy Communities Programme in Donegal County Council, in collaboration with Donegal Sports Partnership and the Irish Farmers Association, are running a health and wellbeing Men on the Move programme in Rosnakill Community Hub Fanet, starting on January 8th. The programme will run on Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:45pm for 6 weeks. Join us for a mini health check, light exercise and informative workshops on maintaining a healthy diet and lifestyle. Contact Orla on 089 467 5723 for additional details, or come and join us on the 8th of January for a healthy start to 2024.
New this week in Home Store and More. All home gym equipment, all floor lamps and all prestige kitchenware are all half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price home gym equipment, floor lamps and prestige kitchenware are gone, they're gone. Also, all 100% cotton printed duvet sets and all feather and down duvets and pillows are still half price. But when they're gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Now open in Frascati Centre, Blackrock. Home Store and More. A happy home.
At Lidl, we've dropped the prices of over 600 products. This January, we've given over 600 of our products a fresh price drop for the year ahead. So now you put more money back in your pocket with savings through breakfast, lunch, dinner and beyond. That's 600 more reasons to go full Lidl today.
Discover the ultimate experience in the spa orchids at the Holyrood Hotel Bundoran with our tranquil Japanese-themed garden, rejuvenating massages, revitalising facials, luxurious spa baths, pampering body treatments, not forgetting the outdoor hot tub and sauna in our secret garden. Visit on a luxury spa day, pop in for some me time, or buy the perfect present with a gift voucher. Relax and let the spa at Orchids transport you to another world. For more, see holyroodhotel.com.
And you're very welcome back to a really busy 9 till noon show, the first for me of the new year. So thank you so much for, as I say, keeping us busy there, giving us your feedback and so on. The food in Letterkenny is fantastic. The catering department hasn't been privatised and every meal is excellent, they say. Try being a diabetic in hospital to see the muck they serve you. That's one person's experience there. A lot of you actually get in touch with us about posting stuff to Australia, so I'll get to those in a moment, just as we get them all in the one pile. Greg, I sent a gift to a grandchild, excuse me, please, in Armagh. It never arrived. We're not supposed to send cash in the post, even if registered. It was the post office told me that. The only thing is registered mail is traceable. Greg, going back to the comment about people being asked to wear masks in the hospital, people simply don't care anymore about anyone other than themselves. We live in a selfish society. As long as I'm right, or I'm all right, stuff everyone else. It's a sad society we are living in. I do see elements of that as well. And listen, of course, the mask mandate was incredibly controversial. We know all of that. But listen, a hospital or a nursing home, I would be very reluctant personally to go in there if I wasn't feeling well, because I wouldn't want to harm someone else. And if I was asked to wear a mask so as not to spread germs to someone else who could be much more vulnerable than I am just going in to visit, well, I also would be inclined to take that advice on board and to heed it out of respect. Good morning, Greg. Is it true that these new hate laws concern thought crimes? As in, you may have not posted hateful content, but may have digital content that could be posted and are so-called thought crimes punishable by prison. How will this even be enforced? Listen, if you take it to the absolute extreme, the idea being that you could have an offensive item on your phone that you could potentially send on WhatsApp or something, it's not going to be enforced. Really, the hate laws haven't been adequately explained to me, but I have sought clarification on a few things, such as what you've just outlined and what have you. No, you can still actually offend and upset people on the internet as well under the new hate crime laws, if that's what you want to do. But obviously there are those that use social media and they're afraid that it will be used as a way to stymie what they have to say or to censor what they have to say. Well, we shall see. I don't know enough about it just as of yet to say whether that's the case or not. Right, let's get back to Donegal Town. Towards the end of last year, we were talking about new one-way systems, new road layout for Donegal Town. Initially, people could see the advantages, maybe even outweighing the inconvenience up until now, but it's become clear that for some it's not going to be workable. It's going to be damaging to business. It's going to drive traffic into parts of the town too that hadn't ordinarily seen so much traffic. Well, we had Christmas to suck it and see, I suppose, to some extent. Pádraig Kennedy's the mayor of Donegal Town. He joins us on the programme now. Good morning, Pádraig.
Good morning, Greg, and good morning, listeners, and Happy New Year.
Right, so what is the sense been over Christmas, a busy time of the year, not just for shopping or socialising? What's the feedback you've been getting?
What the people are saying is it's not working, and it's affecting their business, and chatting to business owners and chatting to people that are coming into the town, it's just a total inconvenience, and some of them wouldn't even come into the town. They'd say, I'm not going to be going in there sitting in traffic. And as you said way back, it was creating a problem that there was never a problem in. And I know initially, we said we would give it a chance and maybe it would be a good job, but there are certain parts of the town that maybe merit a one-way system, but then there's other areas of the town that definitely don't merit a one-way system, and they're strangling the rest of the town, and it's forcing cars in on the diamond and forcing trucks to... There's a junction up at SuperValue, and if you were coming down from the businesses up in the Glebe, you would not be able to turn left there. You would have to turn right and come down and go around the diamond and go back out because that is obstructed there now. And I know in Sligo that there's they finished junctions about a month ago, and they're taking them out of it because the obstruction that's causing to buses and trucks and stuff. And I initially said, yeah, maybe it will be a good job, but I was wrong, and I would like Donegal County Council to say, maybe we got some of this wrong, and before it goes any further, when they're going to resurface the roads, and I know they have some footpaths down, but what it's really strangling the town, and coming into the summer season and all the positive about Donegal and tourism and all that there, it's drawn more people to Donegal and Donegal town, and I just think, why are they going to sit in traffic trying to get into Donegal town? I don't think they will. They'll just go around the bypass and they're not coming near the town at all.
Well, that's it.
And
Bypasses can be 50-50. They can enhance a town or they can be negative for a town. Now, I think Donegal town up until now has benefited from being bypassed. But you're suggesting that these changes may actually undo that people would just go, there's loads of options. Bundoran's there. Killybegs is there, Letterkenny's there.
Yeah.
Are you afraid that it will have a negative impact on the economy and the throughput?
Well, it already is having. I could take you to 4 or 5 businesses, and I could take you to one business that even was thinking not of opening on the new year, because of the effect that it was having on his business. And it's just people are there, and they just not. Even coming in the Killybegs Road, they're sitting in traffic there where there was never traffic jams. And according to the plans as well, up now at the Tech and up there, they're going to widen the footpath there, and you're going to be forced to drive on into the school and turn up at the gymnasium and come back down. There's no way there's enough room to take the cars off the roads to allow parents to drop off their kids at the school. So that's going to give more tailback as well there. I think they need to take a look at the whole thing. I think they need to stop. Water Street.
You see, what I don't understand, we'll get to that part. What I don't understand is, when we first, I wasn't really aware what was going on in Donegal town, believe it or not. When I spoke to you first, and this is not to have a go at you, this is not to have a go at you, because you've seen the lay of the land and you've changed your opinion somewhat. But I actually, at the time, I was chatting to you and Raymond Rooney, I think at that time, I couldn't figure out the problem that was being fixed, if you know what I mean. I couldn't work out, what is the problem that this is going to aid? What is going to improve? And I'm none the wiser now. So is it still the case if I'm coming down by John Bosco Centre and I want to go to Irwin's or Little Mags, that I would have to go out onto the Diamond and come around the way, or if they change that?
Yeah. No. And if you were coming down and if you wanted to use the Mart Lane, which there's a two-way system there that goes up the gable of Irwin's Hardware, you can't come down there now. You would have to go round the town to come down to use that Mart Lane, and you couldn't come down past the Bosco Centre to go to Irwin's or the Vets or any of that.
Cassidy's
there,
or wherever it might be,
and that's forcing you back in round the Diamond to come round. If they left, if you come up the main street in Donegal town and you were only allowed to turn left down Water Street, and if you were coming up from Water Street and you were only allowed to turn left, that, keeping that a two-way along Water Street, New Row, if people don't know, it's over by McGee's factory over that way, keeping that whole system two-way there. I mean, initially I was in favour of it because I suppose it was given more access and accessibility on the footpath, and we were resurfacing, and overall appearance was going to be enhanced. But I suppose, you look at Main Street in Letterkenny, even in Sligo, would the businesses say that was a great job and it really helped their business? I would say no.
All I know is as a consumer, if I wanted to go down and get something in that area, I never had an issue with being stuck there. The road was wide enough for 2 cars and parking in much of it. Access to the business, generally get a parking space, never had an issue What it sounds like now is this has been made incredibly complicated. I don't want to go on to the Diamond there. I might come over the bypass, cut in by the hotel there, Michael McIntyre's or Mickey Mac's there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I will have to go on to the Diamond if I want to go and get a spice bag out of Little Mac's. For an example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, how does that make sense?
No, and as you said, it created a problem where there never was a problem. And I mean, even Donegal town, when there was never even a bypass, like, it always moved. I mean, Killybegs was flat out. Trucks used to come through the town. Everything went through the town, and it still kept moving. And now, you know, with the bypass, and the bypass did make a great job of Donegal town. It was a big success, and Donegal thrived because of it. But this here is definitely going to strangle it. And I know there's councillors on, and they're saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking to the people, and they're saying, this is not a good job. It's not helping them. It's not enhancing their business in any way. And I would definitely appeal to the council to reconsider before they go any further.
But they're all in now, though, Park. They're all in. The roads have been narrowed at this point, some of them. I mean, this is we're too late now. The tide can't be turned.
No, it's never too late, Greg, because you know, and I'm sure you covered it, was the Tullier Junction, as it was called there. It was never going to be changed. The NRA said, no, this would slow down traffic, it would have impact, and it would cause serious accidents if you put a roundabout there. The junction caused more accidents than the roundabout ever caused, anyway. And they were wrong, and they had to sort it out. And there's certain roads in the town that merit a one-way system, but overall, the Water Street New Row, that does not merit to be one way. And
I can't see, with respect again, I can't see off the top of my head what roads merit one way. Especially if it drives more traffic up past residential properties. Are you on about either side of the river?
Well, Water Street, yeah. They did, you know, or Castle Street, along the riverbank. You know, it's probably wide enough for one-way traffic. And I know it operated forever two-way. But, you know, coming up there, it merits one way there.
Okay.
And
see, the proof of the pudding here is, and apologies to listeners from outside that area, but you'll have been down Donegal Town. You know what we're talking about is, you know, if you're coming into Donegal Town, say, for instance, from the Tullier roundabout that you referenced there, you can be sitting an awful long time to get in. The question is will this do it? Or actually coming down past the church in from the other end, will this make it easier to get... Yeah, exactly. Will this make it easier to get in and around Donegal Town? Personally, I can't see how it does, especially considering, I'm sorry to repeat myself, but the problems are caused by a bus station in Donegal Town on the Diamond, effectively, and people double parking right around the Diamond. Now, whilst those things persist, traffic will never move freely around Donegal Town. That is a simple fact. Yep,
and you're right. And it's amazing that one car, I'm only just stopping for 2 minutes. Like, amazing how much one car will slow the whole traffic down. And as you said, it created a problem where there were never a problem. And I mean, if they wanted to trial it out and set out the cones and set out the system, like I was coming over to Connell Street the last day and I met a car coming at me, and I'm like, gee, you're not supposed to be here, but there again, they didn't know. There is no signs anywhere at the minute, temporary signs even saying one-way system in operation. There's nothing. There's nothing. I mean, why didn't they just set it out in cones and properly sign it and say, right, we're going to try this for a month and see how it works out, and if it's a success and businesses are happy, then we'll go with it. We'll set it in stone. But no, they've set it in stone. But listen, concrete can be cut and concrete can be lifted. It wouldn't be the first time footpaths were moved or lifted or adjusted and roads were set out. Like,
we'll see, Park. I don't know. I don't know. But you see, what will happen is that the cars, there'll be an enforcement of double parking and the buses will be moved off the Diamond, and then it'll be celebrated as a success. Where maybe we should have tried to do the traffic management and bus issue first and then see if this money would be best spent as it is. But anyway, who do I don't know anything. I'm just a crappy radio presenter. The powers that be know everything.
As someone commented that I know nothing either. I don't know what I'm talking about neither. But do you know what? I talk to the people around it, and I go, I talk to the businesses, and I know overall the general feeling is one of upset and discontent or dissatisfaction with what's going on at the minute. And I think in this instance, the money could be better spent in a leisure centre, library, facilities for the youth, and, you know, rather than spend it on this here, because I do think it's wrong and I don't think it's the right way to go.
Thanks, Pádraig Kennedy, Mayor of Donegal Town. John, good morning to you. What's your observation? I think it's more to do with lorries and what have you around the town and parking.
Yes, it is, Greg. No, I was in Supermax there this morning for 45 minutes. I was in the car park at Supermax, and directly opposite Supermax, which is behind the fire station, there is a parking space there with bottle bins in it. Now, Arctic drivers and that was able to come in there, park for their break, and go in and get something to eat. Well, I observed this morning the council has put a footpath down across the entrance and put the bottle bins outside the road and blocked the car park off. Now, in the wee while I was there were 6 Arctics come in. Had to go around the roundabout and go out again because they couldn't get parked anywhere. And I think it's bloody ridiculous that car park's lying empty now and they have a footpath down through it and the bottle bins is put out across the entrance.
Wow, that and I presume amongst the Arctic driving community, the word had got around that was a handy place to park, get something to eat, maybe have a bathroom break.
Yes, you're able to come in there, go to the toilet, get something to eat, and take your 15-minute break or whatever it was, and there were bottle bins there, but they put the bottle bins out now, they put a footpath down through the entrance, put bottle bins now in behind the petition there, and the whole thing blocked off, and the lorries had nowhere to park this morning. They just had to turn and go out again, wherever they went in for their break, and some of them could have been running out of time. You don't know.
Yeah, and
I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I just wonder, though, if there are bigger plans for that bit of land there, John, that maybe that's what it was being used for temporarily?
Well, there didn't seem to be much notification of anything being done to it. It just says it's been closed.
Right. So the footpath,
sign up saying it's closed.
So the footpath continues from the fire station towards the where the GP
government buildings, HSE is there now. Right. The footpath has continued on down through it now.
The car park no longer exists.
No longer exists now. There's a bottle bank in front of it.
There you go. Okay.
I think it's ridiculous.
Right, we'll see what the drivers think. John, thanks for your time this morning. Have a lovely day. Take care. All right, okay, that's new. And if you're watching the show, you'll get to see where we're talking about as well there as we show the images. Back after these, we'll take a weather forecast after this break.
Is 2024 the year you need to change your mattress? Restix Beds Letterkenny massive January sale is now on. Sponsors of today's show.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Set yourself up for Slimming World success at Dunnes Stores. We've got a great range of Slimming World products, from sweet and sour chicken noodles for lunch to a hearty beef lasagna for dinner. All now exclusively available at Dunnes Stores. Order online for delivery or find them in the frozen aisle and savour the till with a 5 off 25 grocery voucher. Try the Slimming World range today, exclusively at Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next in-store grocery shop of €25 or more. Range available in selected stores only.
Highland Radio is seeking applications for a producer-presenter to join our busy sports team. The ideal candidate will take direction from the head of sport and will be required to produce and present our main sport programmes and bulletins. Must have an interest in sport across the Northwest and be able to retrieve and assemble stories while constructing scripts for on-air broadcasts and our website. A strong knowledge of multimedia and social networks will also be required. The position is on a 4-day basis that includes weekends. Those wishing to apply should forward a CV to Highland Radio Sport, Pine Hill Mountaintop Letterkenny, F92 VW08, or email hr@highlandradio.com. The closing date for applications is the 5th of January.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. Building a new home? Choose Grant's A++ rated Airona air-to-water heat pump and Uflex underfloor heating. Visit grant.ie.
Sunny spells and scattered showers today. Some hail and thunder possible. Highest temperatures of 6 to 8 degrees in a light to moderate westerly wind. Scattered showers will continue overnight with clear spells in between. Lowest temperatures of 1 to 5 degrees in a light to moderate west to southwest wind. Now for tomorrow, there'll be a mix of sunny spells and well scattered showers along with light to moderately westerly winds. Highest temperatures of 5 to 8 degrees. Have you noticed, I wouldn't say it's a queer stretch, but have you noticed a wee stretch in the evenings? I think I have. Certainly just not quite as dark as it was around about sort of 20 past, 4:30, 20 to 5. Depends on how cloudy it is, though, I suppose. Was there public consultation and surveys among the business owners about these changes in Donegal town? I've been going to Donegal for decades and never ever had an issue with traffic movement. Not sure. I think it's all part of an agenda to put people off travelling in cars and to use public transport. OK, but there's a slight problem there. What public transport? That is the issue. Greg, my boot camp done. Time for you to start. Sure, head to Aoife after the show. You're passing the place. Well, maybe I will. I could just, new year, new me, 2024. Could be. Could happen. I want it to happen. I probably can't make the time. Flashing signs are too close to the school coming from Derry. Should be before the corner. Indeed, that seems to be a sentiment that's out there. Give the drivers a fair crack of the whip and get them slowed down in time for the school. Back to our conversation with Ethna, who has been off drink for almost 30 years. Ethna is correct in what a lot of things she said, but as a member of the AA since 1996, I've seen people who've only drunk once a year at a Christmas party in AA because every year when they get drunk, they got into trouble. Drink driving, extramarital situations, abuse in the home, verbal and physical blackouts, etc., etc., etc. Let me see. Post to Australia. We'll finish up with these. A number of our listeners, as you know, have gotten in touch to say that friends and family in Australia have not been receiving post from home. Mary says, last year I posted Christmas cards to my son in Sydney in November. He received them in May. Donna says, yes, my sister received everything from family. Sharon, I received an envelope from within the country that had been slit open down the side and the voucher removed. Very disheartening, not just happening with outside mail. Ranru, I'm in Australia, and Australia posts are pretty useless at the best of times. Also, there are delays due to extreme weather here at the moment in every state. Martina, this happened to me last year. Sent cards, never arrived. This Christmas, I revoluted my son money. Rosemary, my post arrived to Perth. No bother, good news. Louise, sister in Australia. She's not received anything from us this year. Another, I sent a postal to Sydney and my son received it the day after Boxing Day. Another sent package by on post to Gold Coast. They received it, had to go to reception in their apartment to pick it up as post held there. Maybe just lucky as sent early for Christmas. Thanks, Lorna. And lastly, my family lost so many cards, some containing money. We now use envelopes and boxes from the post office. They receive all of them. It is great to be back after the break. Thank you so much for listening to the programme, for getting in contact. We're back with you again tomorrow morning from 9. For me, Greg Hughes and the team, have a wonderful Wednesday. Stay tuned. John Breslin's around the